now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. We honor them for having lived here and cared for this land from time immemorial. We appreciate the opportunity to live, work, and play in this beautiful place.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tom Williams Field here in Owen Sound as we get ready for another game in the North Dufferin Baseball League. Just a little delayed tonight thanks to a little rain right at what was scheduled to be the start game time at 8 o'clock tonight, but we are just warming up now and ready to go. J.C. Coots along with Spencer Byers. And Spencer, a pretty good matchup for the home team here tonight for Owen Sound.
Yeah, they come up against a lower-seeded Mansfield Cubs. They're currently on 1 win on the year. I believe 1-6 is their record up to date. Obviously, Owen Sound, I believe 4-2 with 1 tie. So definitely look at the scoreboard and say that Owen Sound has the advantage, but always, games aren't played on paper. They're played on the field, JC, and they're going to have to get one here against Mansfield or looking to get a good start here tonight.
Temperature at the time of the scheduled game was about 19 degrees. That's cooled off now to 15 thanks to the rain. Wind coming out of the west at about 9 kilometers an hour. Braden Doron will be the first hitter. The second baseman looks in at the first pitch.
I guess a little high. Looked pretty good to me, though, from Trevor Smith, the pitcher right now for the Baysox.
Another high one in on Doron. That'll run the count to 2-0. That one swung on, and that'll be fouled out down the first baseline.
Yeah, that missed you and I by about 4 feet in a giant fence. So that almost made me go ducking and diving under Mark Perry here in front of the DeGiro.
Rain starting to fall again here in Owen Sound. Not expecting much of it this evening.
Yeah, the weather forecast changed drastically and changed quickly, JC.
Another one fouled back. That'll run the count to 2-2.
Now, obviously, JC, when it starts to rain, especially in hardball, the ball obviously gets harder to grip. So we'll see if that starts affecting Trevor Smith in the command. You already saw a couple high pitches. We'll see if he starts trying to go lower because of the rain and maybe the lack of grip on that ball.
Smith 2-0 on the season. Another pitch. That one hit right past the third baseman. Up it goes into left field. As the rain starts to come down heavily now, Doron will reach first. And we'll hope that this quickly passes over.
Again, it was low precipitation basically all day. I know I kept checking while I was at work, waiting to see if we get the rain call, It looked like it was going to hold over, and all of a sudden we get here, JC, and it just opens up. As Biddle can make that play.
Shortstop batting now, swung on and tipped that one back. 1-0 the start.
And you said it's coming down, JC. It's really coming down now. I'm waiting to see the cats and dogs come onto the field.
We'll keep an eye on the officials. Bernie Gill behind the home plate as Nicholson sets in. The 0-1 pitch hits that one foul, though, up the first base line.
I will mention, I was kind of curious that there wasn't much of a crowd here tonight, unlike the home opener for the Baysox. And now I can kind of see a bunch of cars with their windshields wipers on, so I assume a bunch of the fans are inside their cars, which if I didn't have to be commentating, I probably would be too. Sadly, we don't have big enough court for that.
Inside the cars or inside their houses. There's a pickoff pitch back to first. Not in time, though.
And you got to wonder, too, as you saw there, is immediately Trevor Smith tried to wipe his hand on his pants there, just trying to get any tack on that ball, because, again, when it downpours like this, there's no grip. That ball just slides right out of your hand.
Smith now assessing. Again, takes a look back at first. The throw not in time. Smith again will think things over here. 0-2 pitch. Delivered down the middle. Runner will advance to second.
Ball a little outside. Slater wasn't expecting it, had to kind of jump out at it, and once his back was turned to the runner, it was an easy steal in the end.
Obviously, Braden Doron at first able to get into the head of Smith a little bit here. 1-2, pitch swung on, missed. Strike 3. First strikeout of the game.
Trevor Smith came in with 16 Ks and 12 2/3 innings. That'll be his 17th K of the season. Probably one of the main strikeout options for these, Baysox squad.
This is the third baseman, Alex Attenborough now. Attenborough with a man on. 1 out. Delivered just, looked like he might have caught the corner a bit there. Smith thinks about it. 1-0 pitch. Outside, ball 2.
Kurt Gibson basically stuck at second base now because he's trying to make sure that it's not a easy steal, that they can do a pickoff move there.
Trying to keep the base runner honest. Another pitch. That one in for a strike. Runs the count to 2-1 on Attenborough.
Attenborough hasn't even wavered at one. Hasn't moved, really hasn't set on one yet. So Smith might try it again to try to beat him either inside or right down the middle to try to make him swing that bat.
There's the pitch in and outside. Ball 3. 3-1 on Attenborough here. Watch for any movement at second, but probably with a hitter's count here, not likely to see any. Attenborough, 3-1 pitch. They got him. Runs the count full.
See, now you got to think, JC, as the pitcher in that situation. Again, Attenborough's not even tried to swing yet. Hasn't really even feinted at one. So you got to think that maybe he might try to come again, a little bit low, make him swing. Try to make him, at least try to make him contact on it.
Full count pitch. 1 on, 1 out. In for a strike 3 and the second strikeout of the game for Trevor Smith.
See, and that's the exact pitch you want to throw, JC, because in that situation, you haven't seen him swing yet. He hasn't even tried to make contact. So you want to try to make him swing at a pitch he likes, because he hadn't tried anything. A lot of those pitches that were balls, shadow of the strike zone, right where you want him to make the batter bite, he didn't even try. So that's where Trevor Smith's got to make the adjustment of, okay, he's not going to want to swing. So let's give him something where he has to swing. He swings late, and he gets the K. His second of the game.
Smith won that battle, now up against a left fielder. Dean Caldwell, first pitch in for a strike.
I think that's the first time tonight he's gotten a first pitch strike.
See if he gets a little more aggressive, try to at least get back to the dugout and dry out here. 0-1 pitch. High, fouled back. Caldwell off the backstop. And now Smith going to look for his third strikeout of the inning.
And third straight. After the single to start off the first inning.
There's the 0-2 pitch coming now from Smith. Delivers. Low, got him swinging. They call it a strikeout. His third straight strikeout to end the inning. Mansfield Cubs get the first runner on, get a stolen base, but strand him, and will head to the dugout.
That's a great pitch by Trevor Smith. Like, you can't picture one better because he really attacked the top of the strike zone. Even with a lot of the balls, they were all upper third of the strike zone. That pitch, basically, I'd say in the shadow, but maybe a little lower than the shadow of the strike zone, meaning just outside. That one is maybe a waste pitch where it's too low, but because he's thrown so up high, he's changed the eye level where the batter's now thinking it's going to come high. The bottom falls out of that ball, and he's just swinging it air.
So the Mansfield Cubs will take the field now as the Baysox get ready for the home half of the first here on Rogers TV. 4-2-1, the Baysox are at home. They will lead off with Ryan Bartley, the center fielder, followed by Ryan McNeil in the number 2 spot, the right fielder. Kirk Gibson bats third today, the shortstop. Batting cleanup, the first baseman, Brian Post. Paul Van Combe will bat next, the second baseman. Designated hitter today, number 10, Wayland Wilson. Third baseman, Jesse Bitter, bats 8th. Greg Slater, the catcher, Kevin Zettler, and Trevor Smith, the pitcher, round out the order.
Yeah, it looks to be to me that for Mansfield, it will be Cody Bryan pitching for him. He's pitched 7 innings this year. He's allowed 10 runs, 12 hits. He has 4 Ks up on the season. So Mansfield used a lot of arms this year. I count just quickly, you know, it looks to be maybe 8, 9, 10 guys so far this year. So just trying to find a consistent pitching core are these Cubs, and we'll see if Bryan can add to that here tonight. And you mentioned that Bartley is leading off tonight here for the Baysox. Ryan Bartley's got 10 hits on the year. He is he's just third in the team in hits this season. His average is at .40, so 400, which is really good at any level.
That is Bartley in to face the first pitch. It is low for a ball.
And I will mention, Jason, we've talked about it a lot here. The rain has kind of subsided. I think it is still spitting, but it's definitely not as heavy as it was just minutes ago.
Advantage for French as he throws the second pitch high there. Another ball for Ryan Bartley. 2-0 pitch. Caught the bottom corner for a strike. Now French working quickly. 2-1 pitch. Hit hard by Bartley. Movement in the field. Center fielder under it. He'll make the catch. And Ryan Bartley is retired.
Ended up being routine in the end. You saw both the right fielder and the center fielder converging on that one, and it was a catch there for the center fielder, and rather ranged pretty far there as he was basically into right field when he was able to make that grab.
Ryan McNeil, the right fielder, up next. Takes first pitch low. And ball 1.
And the Cubs really wanted that one to be called a strike, and Ryan McNeil right now is leading the team in average, second on the team in hits. He has been very impressive this year for me. He's also got 6 walks on the year, so McNeil has an eye for the strike zone.
The pitch, again, just on the outside corner. Ball 2 for McNeil.
Yeah, Bryan obviously knows that he can't give McNeil much to hit, or McNeil's going to put it in play, so he's trying to attack that shadow, and he just can't seem to get a call.
French in with a pitch, a swing strike. First strike for Ryan McNeil. McNeil facing this 2-1 pitch. That one, hopper in front of the mound. Ugly ball there. Brown had to be sharp to make sure he got behind it.
Well, luckily there's no runaround bag anyway, so if the ball did get behind him, it really wouldn't have changed much. But obviously with the rain factor, you are happy to see your catcher make the block there.
Hitters count for McNeil. Swung on, missed. Strike 2. Runs the count full.
I will mention, I was saying Cody Bryant. You were saying Cody French. The reason why is because he's wearing 28 that says Bryant on the back of it. The score sheet I'm looking at says Bryant. The one you got from the team says French, so we're going to go with you and say Cody French is pitching for the Cubs right now.
Oh, and a strikeout there for McNeil, who sits down.
He thought he got his 7th walk of the season, JC. You saw him do the quick walk to first base, got about 2 steps out of the box, and the umpire makes him, it gets the ring-up call. So we'll see if it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Cubs after what ended up being basically after a single 1-2-3 inning for the Baysox.
Now up the shortstop, Kirk Gibson. Faces the first pitch in from French. It's low. Ball 1 for Gibson. French delivers. Looked like it was a bit on the outside there, but a strike is called. 1-1 to Gibson.
And Kirk Gibson had to ask the umpire there to make sure JC felt the same way you did.
Yeah, it looked like it was pretty close to the first pitch. There's a 2-1. Hopper now. Catcher's got to move on it. Brown with it over to first. No problems as they get Gibson. And that will do it. 3 up, 3 down. Go the Owen Sound Baysox in the home half of the first.
And you got to wonder, JC, honestly, for both offenses, how much did the rain delay affect both teams? Obviously, you think it more affects pitchers, as it does usually, I'll say, in the majors, but, you know, also it can affect with the batter, right? You're getting amped up, you're getting hot, you're getting ready for a game. 15 minutes later, you're now cold, having to go out and try to swing that bat as hard as you can and put that ball, you know, depending on if you're a lefty or righty, over the 270 monster or the 3-something right field. So, you know, it obviously affected both teams' lineups. We'll see if this top of second inning is a little bit more offensively powered here for either side.
Well, the stat line very simple for the Baysox. 3 up, 3 down, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. We head to the top of the second now. Due up for the Mansfield Cubs will be the catcher, Dylan Brown. And the batting order for the Cubs after Brown. The first baseman, Bryce Cameron, and the right fielder, Patrick Dubit, due up.
And we'll see if, obviously, it's still raining, just not as hard as at one point. We'll see if there's any more tack on that ball or if the balls are going to get even more slippery as the game continues in this rainy night it's turned into.
The batter's box is pretty chunked up. We can confirm that right now from our viewpoint.
Yeah, it's gone from pretty nice dirt to basically mud. Like if you and I were going to make a mud pie there, JC, I think you and I'd go right behind where the umpire is right now.
Smith in to face Brown. First pitch hit right up to short. Gibson over to first for the out.
And that's a good play for the Baysox defense. They didn't get a whole lot of action in that first inning. They only had 1 hit allowed. One ball went right by Battel, and Jesse Battel just couldn't make the play, but now 3 Ks and now ground out right to Kirk Gibson. Didn't even have to step for it.
First baseman Bryce Cameron. He's a pitch in for a strike.
The rain delay has not affected Trevor Smith at all. He's looked great in these 1 1/3 innings so far.
Smith deals. Pitch in low. Ball 1. Smith continuing to work quickly. 1-1 pitch in for a strike. Smith with 3 Ks to end the first, looking for his 4th here. 1-2 pitch, that'll be high for a ball, 2-2. A little more rain starting to fall, wind picking up here at Tom Williams Field in Owen Sound. That one, just a mercy swing there to keep it alive. Hacks at it for a foul. Cameron again, 2-2. Smith stares him down. Delivers. That one swung on and missed. Strike 3 as Cameron sits down. 4th strikeout for Trevor Smith.
He's been dealing early in this one, JC. He's looked really good. And even with some counts that have gotten away from him there in that first inning, he has had no confidence. That the confidence just hasn't left him yet.
There's a pitch that's just low and outside. Ball 1 in for Patrick Newbit. Smith again, that one a little way low on that one. Ball 2. Kind of the first time that Smith looked like he had a little trouble with the control. Likely attributed to the rain. Another pitch in, again outside. All of a sudden, Smith finds himself in a bit of a hole here. Patrick Newbit, 3-0 count. Smith, he will walk him. 4 consecutive balls will result in Newbit reaching base. Next up, we have the center fielder, Carter French. Quick pickoff throw to first by Smith. Didn't get him. Gibson had a jump like he thought he might have gotten.
Well, you've seen, JC, that this Mansfield team has really gotten to Smith because the last 2 runners he's had on base, both have been steal threats. Yeah, he's had to chuck them at first base to post.
There's a high pitch for a ball into Carter French.
And you can just about argue that's basically a pitch out. That's a pitch that not many guys are going to really want to take a bite at early in a count, especially after a pickoff move. That's basically a pitch out.
Another pickoff attempt again, and at this point, Newbit not very far off that bag. He knows he's being targeted.
I think he also knows, though, JC, with the rain, right? You take one step and you slide, you're not going to be able to get back to that bag. So you really don't want to take a big lead in fear of being able to not get back.
In for a strike. 1-1 the count to French. Smith continuing to check over his shoulder. There's a pitch in for a strike. 1-2 now to Carter French. For Smith. That one is going to be low for a ball. 2-2. Trevor Smith sets. Dishes, swung on and missed. Strike 3 called. And the 5th strikeout of the game. That will end the period the inning, I should say, as the umpire and the base chief taking a look here. I don't know if they're going to call anything. They're kind of looking over to see if Mansfield has anything, but...
Well, I think they're just trying to figure out here that, with the field getting, I'll say, worse and worse, will they take a rain delay? But the problem is, JC, if they take a rain delay, they're going to have to, at this early of the juncture, they're going to have to postpone it, especially with the score. So, I also just saw there the Baysox gave them some fresh balls because they know, again, because of the rain, there's just no tack on that ball. That ball slides out of your hand, and it's going to go any which way. You're at the mercy at that point. So I think everybody's just trying to be, for the safety of the pitcher and, in fairness, the batter, to try to make sure everybody, has at least some grip. As you saw right there, that ball goes wayward because it's going to be hard to grip that ball, and it's going to be a problem the rest of the night, depending on how long I'll say this one goes. Scheduled for 7 innings. We'll see if we last that long with the rain just not wanting to give up, it looks like.
Well, the stat line from that bottom of the second, or top of the second, I should say, reads as this: no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left on base on a walk by Trevor Smith. Baysox will set up the first baseman, Brian Post, followed by second baseman, Paul Van Combe. and the DH Waylon Wilson due up here. Brown just showing off that despite the rain, can still make that throw to second from home plate.
Brian Post, who's led this league in home runs quite a few times, only has one on the year. We actually saw it last time we were here. Gordon and I got to see him put that one right over the left field wall.
First pitch in for a ball on Post. Deals that one. Strike one called.
And they're going to say, JC, because it wasn't a strike, obviously. That ball was well outside. They're saying he swung, which, now I'm going to disagree with that call, JC, but I do have the luxury of being, a little farther back and a little bit of a different angle.
Not quite the benefit of going to the third base umpire to see if he came around here. That one fouled back.
I also want to mention this, JC. A lot of the young guys, they like to have a lot more movement pre-swing in their stance. Brian, no movement. He's very stagnant, which I do appreciate. He knows where he wants to put it, and he doesn't need a lot of landmarks to be able to get it there. As you saw there, that ball hit about 4 feet in front of the plate. So again, the rain having an effect, inevitably.
Vladdy Guerrero Sr. would have loved that ball 4 feet in front of the plate. That would have been gone. French delivers that one again, hitting the dirt in front of the batter's box. So obviously, as Spencer has pointed out, the rain, a bit of a challenge here.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a challenge in that first inning. It's shown itself to be a problem in this second inning, which again, we'll just see if it continues to be one.
Pitch in, swung on, and strikes out.
And you gotta wonder, JC. You gotta wonder, JC, if Post swings at that because of the previous strike call on the check swing. Because maybe Brian didn't think he went, but maybe he thought he called it an actual strike, which means that expands the strike zone to the batter at least.
Well, that'll bring up the second baseman, Paul Van Combe. First pitch in is high for a ball to Van Combe. French delivers, swing and a strike. Good cut by Van Combe there. 2 strikeouts on the game for French. 1-1 pitch, that one again in the dirt. Brown able to find it and grab it. French delivers that one. Looked like it was a bit wall, but a hack to stay alive by Van Combe. Two and two the count as French has his signal. The pitch. That one swung on and fouled down the first baseline. Van Combe will stay alive.
And now I think we're going to have a switch ball here, JC, which makes sense. I couldn't believe they didn't switch it the first time he hit the dirt. And then I was very surprised the second time in a row he hit the dirt that they didn't ask for a new ball. And now they do finally ask for that new ball, and hopefully this will give French some well-earned tack, as you also see there, missing with the mound a little bit, which also it seems like he has been impressed with since he came back to the mound. He seems like he's been having some trouble either planting once he throws or getting set when he's trying to throw.
Yeah, you can just see the mud coming off the cleats there. That pitch way high.
And again, he looked down at the ground, JC. There's something, he doesn't like that mound. I'm not sure if it's too low or there's too much mud or not enough mud. I'm not exactly sure, because I know some guys like a big divot, some guys like no divot right in front of the rubber.
Well, let's see if he's got it right here for the full count pitch now. Van Combe would love to reach. There's the pitch high again. Bancombe will reach base on balls.
And I will mention, JC, on your sheet, and that's why I'm just gonna ask. It says Van Combe. He is wearing the Van Cedar jersey. On the website, he is Van Cedar. So I am just gonna be openly curious. So if you are yelling at your TV screen that it is Van Cedar, not Van Combe, do not fault JC. We were handed a sheet that says Van Combe on it.
That's right.
Okay, I promise. Same thing with the French situation where I had a different name on my sheet than JC does on his. It's the same situation here. But I'm gonna say 90% sure that is Van Cedar on first base, just because of the jersey and the stat sheet, and obviously our first home game of the year with Gordon and I on the tie, the 6-6 tie, last time we were here at Tom Williams Field.
You could just say our notes got wet.
That also does help, yeah, with the rain just. Again, not going away. Poor Mark Perry and myself and JC are hiding under this tent here, just hoping the thing doesn't collapse on itself because we've had a waterfall behind us from where the tent tries to kind of pools.
Waylon Wilson, the DH, takes that one back for a foul. 1-1 is Wilson.
Very few teams in my experience in this NDBL league use a DH. Owen Sound does. Obviously, we saw the Cubs do not. French is hitting. Both Frenches are, actually. And then we saw it in the first game where Flower, their pitcher, he hit. So, you know, it's kind of intriguing that the Baysox do use a DH in Waylon Wilson, and how, I guess, that role kind of works in this league, where you kind of get the choice.
The pitch, that'll be low for ball 2. Up the baseline, Bancombe thought about trying to advance, but again, with these conditions, probably not worth it, because more than likely, instead of a steal, you'll get a torn ACL.
And an out.
And an out. But I'm told they have great popsicles at the hospital here.
Well, sadly, JC, I can't vouch for that. I don't think I've been inside the Owen Sound Hospital in forever, as a Wyerton citizen myself.
Pitch is in high again.
Just can't seem to get that ball either dry or his hand dry enough. You can see it there, rubbing it on his pants, trying to get some tack. Because again, if that ball, and you can do it in any sport, you have something and you just can't seem to grip it, it's the worst feeling, because you let go and you just don't know where it's going. Happens in football a lot. Obviously happens in baseball a ton with the weather.
Pitcher is set. Pitch in, foul down the line.
And JC, that was like a half swing by Waylon Wilson. I'm not sure that was a full swing. He kind of stopped once he got it just in front of the plate. So I'm not sure if Wilson really meant to swing at that one or if he was trying to check and just made contact. Because as you saw there, that ball flew down the third baseline. So because of the way the pitch came in, Waylon could have made pretty good contact on it. He just didn't seem to really want it because of where it was placed.
I wonder if that might keep Caldwell a little closer to the line there, and he is watching his position now just in case Wilson tries to place that ball again. Full count pitch. Swung on and missed. He tries to run it through, but the ump says, no, we're not in that situation. There's a guy at first. You can't do that.
And now I'm not sure how to explain Jesse Bittel, but Jesse and I went to high school together, technically speaking. I think he's a year or two younger than me, but he was on the St. Mary's basketball team when I was the statistician.
Bittel, the right fielder. Looks at that pitch down low for a ball.
And he's the one who tied it in the last game we were here, JC, to send us to that 6-6 tie. He sent it dead center field, almost hit the top of the fence. He was just inches away from walking it off, but the ball just stayed in play, and it ended up being a tie there. As you see French clear the rubber, and again, just trying to look like Van Cedar honest.
Not an easy thing to do.
Again, with the conditions.
Bittel at the plate.
It does look like the rain has kind of subsided, JC.
Bittel took a swing at that one, hit it up the third base line, foul. 1-1.
We'll mention that Jesse plays across the border at the NAIA level for Spring Arbor University in Michigan. One of two guys on the Baysox team that plays across the border.
Kirk Gibson being the other?
Yep, plays D3 for Owens Community College.
2-1 the count to Patel.
And yeah,
Worked a game with Gibson last year, the junior all-star game. Asked him about his namesake, Kirk Gibson, and he informed me that he's teammates with Alex Rodriguez, but not
the Alex Rodriguez.
Not the Alex Rodriguez.
Not the guy trying to buy the Minnesota Timberwolves right now.
No.
And again, we're going to switch up balls here on that 3-1 count. And JC, I wanted to mention this to try not to interrupt you, but you know, it's also interesting for the batter's perspective of these wild pitches because there's no real way to get locked in because every other ball is going wayward one way, high the other, low, hitting the dirt. You know, so you can't really get settled into the box, which also helps when, you know, the pitch does kind of hit its spot, right? Because you just can't really get a feel for where the pitches are going because they're not going where they're supposed to.
Well, a good eye by Patel on that one, sensing that it was going to be short, and it was. Second walk of the inning as Patel will reach.
And that
advances Van Combe to second.
I do look behind us, JC, and I do see a little bit of blue sky. I'm just trying to count my lucky stars here, find my four-leaf clover and my horseshoe, and hope that the skies don't open up just one more time. For Mark Perry's sake, more than mine.
Hopefully a beautiful evening the rest of the way as the catcher Greg Slater comes to the plate. Greg swings at the first pitch for a strike.
That one caught him right in the foot there. I'm happy he didn't come hopping because you look right down at that ankle and you always get worried, JC, especially with guys not wearing that ankle protector. You know, when that ball comes hot off the plate or hot off the dirt right into your ankle or your foot, it doesn't feel nice.
Based on that first pitch swing, Slater here thinking he's probably going to bring a run in. We'll see how he approaches pitch number 2, the 0-1. Way high, ball 1.
That one went over his head in the end.
And again, now Brown with that runner at second. Not that he's had any challenges with these wildish pitches here, but he's really got to be on the mark now. Slater looks in at 1-1. French ready. Dishes up high, throw down to first. Gonna have to move some runners here. And now a run down as the second and first. And ball hits the base runner. Base runner will advance to third. That's Van Combe. Van Combe will be ruled safe.
Well, the third baseman missed the ball. He might have been out if the third baseman had just held on to that ball, but he dropped it. So everybody's safe. The pitcher cleared the rubber, and Jesse was caught in no man's land. Patel just had really no other option than start moving, which, again, forced Van Suter to start moving. And with all of that, it's technically going to go down, I believe, in the score sheet as a double steal.
Well, I believe have to charge an error there to the Cubs.
Do we have any statisticians in the crowd? Do we have people charging errors here? I don't know.
I'm writing it down, so I think it's me.
Okay, so JC's, okay, so anybody on the website blaming the stats, we're blaming JC for the error, okay? So Mansfield fans, if you don't feel like that's an error, you can contact JC Coops.
I assume I get the check after I leave, so.
Oh, you get the $20 Tim card?
The 2-1 pitch into Slater, high again, 3-1. Slater again looking at a great situation here. Crack of the bat can bring in 2.
Or a walk loads it.
2 outs for the Cubs. French delivers, bit low, and that is a walk indeed as Slater trots down to first. 3 base on balls this inning are charged to Cody French.
And now they will do the 2-out rule for the catcher, so Slater will jog to first base and then jog to the dugout as the last out will be on to first base. I'm not exactly sure who that is, as we're still waiting to see who will emerge from the Baysox dugout to go to first base to take Slater's role, which again helps JC because with that type of rule, it's Waylon Wilson will make his way to first base. That adds some more speed because normally catchers, not known for their speed, Alejandro Kirk does kind of change that, but most catchers are not exactly speedsters on the base path, so getting a DH out there instead, you'd think could add some base run value in favor of the Baysox.
So Wilson back on the field. Kevin Zettler faces his first pitch outside for ball one.
You got to think, though, JC, with the rain for the moment subsiding, that the guys will start getting some more tack. With the rain not being a factor, that once some things start a little bit drying, you should be able to get a little bit more grip.
We'll see if that's an advantage for French here. Pitch number 2 is in for a strike, 1-1.
And that's probably what he's been trying to do the whole time, right? Is trying to get that looping pitch into the strike zone. I'll call it a curveball, but it even could be technically a slider, depending on the movement. Obviously, from your and I's angle, it looks more like a curveball.
Things have dried down for sure here at the ball field as that one is swung on, hit right back to the pitcher. French over to first, ends the inning. And the Cubs get out of it with any major damage being done.
And you could say lucky for them, right? Because, again, it went from a couple outs to bases juice to all of a sudden the Baysox come out of it with 3 guys stranded in the end.
No runs, no hits, 3 walks, 1 error, and 3 left on. Remain a scoreless game in Owen Sound.
That they do as the Baysox do make their way back onto the field. We'll see if the long layoff helps or hurts Trevor Smith, who has been dealing here today, JC. He's got 5 Ks of the 6 outs, has, 1 hit and 1 walk with those 5 Ks, no runs allowed. So Trevor Smith has been a problem for this Mansfield Cubs lineup, and he'll be taking on his first batter, which looks to be the pitcher, I believe that's Cody French.
That's right. The pitcher will be the first one back out of the dugout for the Cubs here.
And I will also mention, I think I tried to mention it in the last inning, JC, it's French and French in an 8-9 hole.
That's right. I assume brothers, maybe father, son, maybe cousins. We didn't ask.
Could be unrelated somehow, magically,
Could be just
but
a coincidence.
It would be a rather big coincidence, but I would say brothers with the stature, and it looks to be them both being around the same age. Again, you and I seeing from a rather far perspective.
If you're not related, then do you have like a little, gentleman's clubhouse agreement that one guy gets to be French and the other guy has to change to Francois or Francais?
Or just you turn to a nickname, right? Once, like, when I was in high school, I was the first Spencer. And then literally when I got to grade 10, there were like 4 more Spencers in the grade 9 class. So I was always Spencer. They always got caught by their last name. So when I always saw them, I'd always call the number 1, I'd always call the number 2, number 3, number 4. That's how I did it.
Well, I'm glad to know the OG Spencer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm number 1. That's all I know. I'm number 1.
Cody French, the pitcher, steps in. His first at-bat of the game against Trevor Smith. Pitcher's duo here starts with a ball by Smith. Braden Dorion and Ben Nicholson due up. That one looped back to the second baseman. Actually make that Gibson at short. He'll get that over to first and in time.
What a play.
That was the tag to get him.
What a play by Post, and good play by Gibson. Low roller, just missed Trevor Smith. Kirk had to charge it. He's able to play it, and Kirk's got an arm, so he fires it over. It put a little bit too far, though, on Gibson when he tried to rush the throw, so Post has to jump and catch it. As he catches, fires the glove back, and hits French as he's about to touch first base. So a basically almost guaranteed hit once Gibson fired it wide. Post makes a miraculous play, and it's an out.
That one chopped up the first base line. That'll be foul by Braden Dorion.
And I mean, just inches there. JC Post was almost about to catch that one, and I got to argue, if Post catch it, is it a fair ball? Because I think it would have been fair if Brian Post catch it, because it was fair before.
Dorion reached first on a single to fifth, or a single to third, I should say, and the top of the first. That one is in and high for a ball.
You also have to mention, though, JC, with Trevor Smith being in the dugout for the last, 10 minutes or so, maybe he's a little dried off as well, which also could be helping with the command we've seen.
That one ticked back by Dorion. Smith now set. pitch outside.
And you can tell by that reaction there, JC. Trevor Smith was not happy that ball was called a ball.
Pitch is in. That one hit well. Drops right down into right field. And that'll be a base hit.
And that was basically a perfect looping line drive. It landed basically dead, not in between Van Cedar, and it looked to be McNeil there in right field because nobody had a chance. That ball landed in basically no man's land.
2 for 2 for Dorion. Ben Nicholson at the plate now. Nicholson struck out his last appearance. Quick throw over to first. Smith he likes to keep an eye on first base. Definitely getting into the heads of the Cubs here.
Well, and Dorion was the one who was able to steal second base on his first single. Well, that's not my car, as the car alarm goes off, and we'll wait till the fans able to turn off the car alarm. I'm not sure whose vehicle it is. Oh, there we go, and we'll get right back to baseball. All I knew is, JC, it's definitely not mine. Mine's behind the bathrooms, because I was making sure that if my ball gets hit by a car, it's going to be a perfectly placed foul ball. Perfectly placed.
I hear it's good luck if you have your window smashed at a junior ball game. Throw to second this time. Did they get him? Yes, they did.
What a play by Slater. And again, you got to wonder, JC, if the get-up kind of got Dorion there in the mud, because the playing surface hasn't dried a bit. And a great tag applied there by, I believe, Van Cedar.
2 down for the Cubs here.
Another thing I love about this league, JC, none of the pitchers take like a good 10-second walk around the mound after they pitch. They're right on that rubber. They're like Mark Burley. They're ready to go.
Smith in. That one low for a ball. Things much quieter. A lot more fans starting to pop by the ballpark in Owen Sound now that the rain has stopped.
Thank goodness, by the way, because I saw them all in their cars. That ball goes right at, I believe that's Brighton behind home plate. Oh, pardon me, I think it's Rick back there. And again, we're adding some more balls, and again, it's just because of the rain. They're just trying to find a way to keep the pitchers and batters safe with some grip.
I hope they had enough. We might have to send somebody to Canadian Tire if this doesn't work out. Smith on the mound. 2-2 pitch in the dirt. Runs the count full.
See, that's where I'd ask JC, is it even open? I wouldn't know, JC, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't had a lot of late night Canadian Tire trips, to be honest with you, Spencer.
I think the Walmart's still open.
Full count pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3 will end the inning for the Cubs.
And that's the, what, 6th K for Trevor Smith in 3 innings?
That is 6 strikeouts now for Smith, who, despite the weather, is dealing here. And we'll head to the home half of the 3rd.
And I will mention, JC, he's played 4 games this year, has Trevor Smith. He's only pitched, coming into it, 12 2/3 innings. This is his 5th game. He has not thrown a lot of pitches. So, with 6 Ks, and having not a lot of pitches, and having that massive break in between the 2nd and the 3rd inning now as we go into the bottom, you got to think that Trevor Smith's feeling really good right now, and it could be a long night for this Mansfield team if they can't get a beat on him. And one thing me and Gord mentioned when he came in for 1 out in the first game, we had the home opener here at Tom Williams Field. He has that kind of awkward release point where the ball comes out not exactly uniform. He doesn't come out sidearm or vertical. He comes out kind of at just a little bit of an angle, like 45 degrees or so, which also messes with your eye angle because you're trying to see the ball come out of his hand, and when it's coming out way out here, it can really mess with your timing, and Mansfield's really found that early here today.
Well, we'll see if they can figure out how to solve Trevor Smith. Right now, though, the Baysox go back to work. 2 up first. We will have the left fielder.
Sure about my
What?
Sure about my
And it looks like we're set to go. Back to the top of the order now. As Ryan Bartley will come in. French delivers the high for ball one into Bartley. Bartley ready. French delivers again down low. Bartley had to shoot the feet out to avoid getting hit by the pitch. 2-0. French in. Still having some trouble locating there. 3-0 for Bartley, who is liking the way he's starting this appearance at the plate.
Now, I will mention back to the leadoff hitter for the Baysox.
That one skips across again, and 4 straight pitches will send Ryan Bartley down to first.
I did make sure I asked JC, so your sheet is just a typo. It is Van Cedar playing second base, which I did openly say I thought, but I went over and I ironically saw Paul, and I made sure I asked. Just to say that on our sheet it looks like a typo. I just wanted to make sure I asked, so we stay somewhat consistent.
Ryan McNeil in now, runner at first. French delivers, that's hit right up to the third baseman. Trouble with it there. Runners will advance and everyone will be safe there.
Now look right off the foot there of Attenborough.
George Attenborough with the error.
And one thing I really couldn't mention, JC, in the home opener because it was only a couple of games into the year, but now we're 7 games, now number 8 here for the Baysox. Kurt Gibson led the league last year in average and an on-base percentage. He's only hitting 200 right now. Kurt Gibson's not where he would want to be to start off this year, and he's a really good hitter. So this is the kind of game where he's gotten a first inning out. He really wants to find a way to get himself back on track, with especially in a game like this against the Cubs.
Well, he watches pitch one go across for a strike. Gibson hoping to make some noise here. That one down at the knees for ball one.
And I will also mention, JC, Kurt Gibson plays shortstop. So when you can get a top-tier defensive shortstop, which Kurt Gibson is, and he can hit really well, it's just such a massive plus to your lineup. Because shortstops are historically known as not necessarily great hitters. That's been more of a modern-day thing where guys like Troy Tulowitzki and Trevor Story have come in and really done well hitting at shortstop. Even Marcus Semien with the Jays and now with the Texas Rangers.
Gibson looking at a 2-1 count. French delivers that one. Shot up the middle to the shortstop. Over to second, back to first. Gibson had some trouble getting out of the batter's box, and that will be a double play.
I'm not sure if he clipped the catcher or if he just took a wrong step right over across the plate, but he hit something for sure before he ever got out of the batter's box, took a tumble with the bat still in his hand, and he never even tried to make it to first base. So, again, just Kurt Gibson not having the hitting season he would want. But I will mention now, JC, guy on third base and Ryan Bartley with the power hitter Brian Post up the bat.
Gibson did advance the runner. And they're asking now, there's an appeal there. They say no. Bernie Gill made the appeal to Dana Sanders. Said he didn't come around. French. High, ball 2 for Post.
I say batters always love when the umpire's happy to acquire some help on a check swing call.
Post now up 2-0. Make that 3-0. Four walks in the game for French. Will it be 5? Pitches in. 5 it is, as he got it outside. Brian Post trots down to first. Runners at the corner now, 2 out, as Paul Van Cedar, as has been confirmed, will step into the game. Not into the game, just for the first time at the plate. Technically, he's been up once, just has a different name. Last appearance was a walk for Van Cedar.
Baysox were in a similar situation in the last inning, JC. They had 2 outs, they got bases juiced, and they just couldn't capitalize. They're one guy away from basically completing that again, with Van Cedar up to bat with guys in the corners.
Swinging strike for Van Cedar.
Cedar, I believe, 4th in the team right now in batting average at .450. Or
0-1 pitch swung and missed it. Puck gets away, and that's going to bring the run in. Bartley, the keen eye, saw it skip past the catcher and brought it in from third. That'll make it 1-0 here as the Baysox jump out front.
you saw Bartley there, honestly, JC. The moment he saw that ball get away from the catcher, he had no hesitation. He just went, and he was hot. And for a second, Van Cedar didn't see him, so Van Cedar kind of stood over the plate and then realized he was coming, got out of the way. And I'm surprised by the catcher's play there. He played through it to second base because Post did take a little lead off a second. And he threw the ball to second, which, again, you always worry if that ball somehow misses the second baseman. All of a sudden, it's an extra 90 feet.
Pitch off the plate. 1-2 the count. DH Wilson is on deck. And Cedar makes contact to stay alive, drops it down just in front of us here, next to the backstop.
And I will correct myself quickly. Van Cedar, 4th on the team in hits, 3rd on the team in average with the .450.
Big pitch coming here for French. Pitch swung on and ticked back by Van Cedar. Dead ball.
I think they made contact with basically everybody. Van Cedar made contact, and not sure if it hit the umpire, but it definitely caught the poor catcher right in the mask, and they're not going to give a second here for the catcher to collect his wits.
Van Cedar will keep going in the at-bat. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs. Baysox have put a run through this inning on a wild pitch. There's another wild pitch. That will advance the runner at second to third. And again, heads up base running here, helping the Owen Sound Baysox.
And the power just went out, JC. I'm not sure if that was an actual power outage or if the lights just went out, because our stuff's still on. We are still alive, thank goodness, JC, so it looks like we're going to have to go find the switch and turn that thing back on.
Oh, I tripped over an extension cord. That was my bad, City of Owen Sound. Might take a minute to load back up, but that was my bad.
Well, at this point, JC, we've had a little bit of everything. We've had pouring downpour rain, which delayed the game about 15 minutes. Then we had downpouring rain during the contest, which forced you from a little bit outside the tent to right here beside me and just in front of the great Mark Perry. And now, all of a sudden, the lights have gone out. Thank goodness the Soviets aren't here, and there hasn't been a fracas.
If anyone is watching from Bruce Power, please send power.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending us some wireless, we'd really appreciate it.
So obviously, we have to, for the safety of the players, put a pause on things for a moment here while we figure out who turned out the lights.
Well, they're very nice of them, JC. I don't know. We're just getting a rhythm going. We're just getting everything put together.
I assume we only paid until 9 o'clock for the field, so. Now, there are a few kind fans offering to turn their headlights on and drive around the field, but I'm not quite sure that will be acceptable in these situations.
As they're actually going to get the rake out now, JC, as Kirk Gibson comes out to give the batter's box a little rake, and I think that will kind of help everybody here as, again, it's gone from dirt to mud, and as everyone knows, when you try to step in mud, it is not nice to try to stand in and especially try to swing a baseball bat. And you saw Kirk Gibson, he took a tumble out of the batter's box. He probably knows better than anybody just how horrible it is trying to take a run out of that batter's box. And a lot of this Baysox team are righties, so It's all of them basically on the same side of the pitch. I don't think I've seen really a lefty yet on either side. At least a lot of lefties, because the right side of the batter's box is no longer a batter's box, and the left side looks just about untouched.
Well, we're still continuing to work on these field issues.
This is where you got to ask the question, JC. Who's paying for the light bill? Because I know it's not coming out of my paycheck. I know it's not coming out of yours. I don't think the great Mark Perry is going to offer up his, so I'm not exactly sure here. As we're actually looking, I could add some more mud here to the batter's box. So at least with this power edit, JC, we're having a little bit of a chance to remake the field a little bit here with just how muddy it's gotten. Because again, you see right behind Kurt Gibson where the home plate umpire stands. It is wet. It is just mud. There is no dirt left. It is just mud.
What do they say? Make hay when the sun shines? Well, in this case, when the lights go out, you've fixed the batter's box. It's not as popular of a saying as the first one, but I think it's going to take off.
I agree with you. And the other rake coming out here again to go over where the umpire stands, because again, it is just mud. There's not a lot of dirt there where Kurt Gibson's kind of waddling around trying to get that batter's box into a condition where guys aren't slipping and sliding out of it when they try to make a grounder.
I do love the effort.
And you know what you also got to love, JC? Obviously, the higher levels you go up, they have grounds crew. They have people who are, I'll say, paid to be grounds crew. These are all the Baysox guys. They're just coming out here because they have the power outage. We might as well try to clean up the field with the rain, giving us a little bit of a break. The lights now giving us an even longer break. So, the guy is trying to, help out the game here, and you got to appreciate that.
Well, it's going to be a busy weekend for the Owen Sound Baysox. This marks the first of 4 games they're going to play between now and Sunday afternoon. All of them right here, by the way, at Tom Williams Field. So if you're watching the game tonight and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to come and see one, well, they've got a doubleheader coming up on Saturday afternoon here against Aurelia. They're going to be in town. And then one of the better teams in the North Dufferin League, Bolton, who are 6-1 currently, they're going to be here Sunday afternoon for a 2 o'clock game. So lots of chances for you to come out and see the Baysox. Oh, and I see that. Is there an NBA score update?
Yes, there is. I'll quickly mention it as the Celtics fan myself. The NBA Finals has started tonight at 8:30, and the Boston Celtics are giving a shellacking to the Dallas Mavericks down at TD Garden, 44-27. And if you couldn't tell, I bleed white and green for my Boston Celtics down at TD Garden in Massachusetts. I'd be lying. I don't have my Time Lord jersey under my dress shirt and my jacket, but I decided against it because I thought an undershirt was enough. But maybe I should have wore my Time Lord jersey with Kristaps Porzingis making his finals debut with the Celtics and has a team leading 11 coming back from injury. And I will quickly mention here, JC, just before we continue to talk about the Baysox and their season as they now go to clean up a little bit of the pitcher's mound, which I bet you Cody French is very happy about. The lights have been reset, but the problem is, from what Rick Olmstead told me down at the camera behind home plate, it takes 10 minutes for those lights to reset. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're waiting for right now, is for those lights to reset and then turn back on. So poor Mansfield's going to have quite a long ride home. 15-minute delay for the rain, 10-minute delay for the lights.
And it's a good thing Canadian Tire's open to get that fuse for the lights, too. We got extra baseballs and a new fuse coming.
Hope that's on delivery, JC, because I'm not leaving to go pick it up. I've left to go pick up pizza before. That was off the air, not on the air.
Well, speaking of the world of baseball and out-of-town scores, the Toronto Blue Jays got a big win this afternoon against the Baltimore Orioles. Burrell Jr. with a big 3-run home run in that game on what was school day game at Rogers Center today. The stadium packed with school-aged children. For a 1 o'clock weekday game. He's now off to Oakland. They'll be taking on the Athletics tomorrow night at 9:30, and then 4 o'clock game Saturday and Sunday. You can catch the action, of course, on Rogers Sportsnet.
We'll also mention, JC, with the Jays, they were up 6-3 in that 9th inning. I watched Yimi Garcia give away the 2 runs there in the late to the O'Hearn 2-run shot, but he was able to hold on, get the save, and get the victory for the Jays. And we'll also mention, as I'm a Yankees fan as well, just so you can hate me a little bit more there if you're a Jays fan, 8-5 right now for the Yankees down in the Bronx. They're in a 5th inning delay. So delays going around the entire, I'll say mid, I guess that's what, the northeast, so we're a little farther north than that, but rain delays going all the way around us because, again, the rain is all around us.
Nice to see both teams out having a few laughs during this delay as we continue to wait for the lights to power back up.
I can check by the wheelbarrow there, JC, after they clean up the mount and the batter's box. There's a lot of excess dirt there in that poor wheelbarrow. I'm not sure where they're going to put that dirt, but they get a chance there to pick it up. And actually, one of the players there was just giving us a little talking point. JC, talk about the new head coach for the Attack, which I don't know if you want to, JC. We talked about it on Sports Wrap, you and I. Coach Scott Ray, now of the Owen Sound Attack, was hired, trying to remember, Tuesday. I was there, by the way, so he was hired on Tuesday, or announced, I guess, on Tuesday by GM Dale DeGray.
And what were the impressions at the press conference?
Well, I would say a lot of fans were happy to hear what he said because, you know, as an Attack fan myself is what I'll say, but as a member of the media, hanging out with the Rogers team as I do, you know, it's kind of nice to hear getting back to a 200-foot game, a four-line rolling team, you know. I think sometimes the Attack played a little bit too much with their stars and were worried about playing some of the young guys more than 6 to 8 minutes. So we'll see if Coach Ray can implement what he was hoping to at the press conference. And obviously assistants, as they said at the presser, are to be announced. So they've had some feelers from what I heard, but nothing concrete yet. So we'll see who they add to Coach Ray's assistant coaching staff. And obviously there will be at least 2 announced within the next, I'll say, month or so. But training camp opens, I believe they said August 26th. So got at least a couple months, JC, to figure out who those 2 men on the bench, or women, will be on the bench for Coach Ray.
Well, the one thing, and I mentioned this on our TV Sports Wrap when we talked about it this week, and you can watch that episode too, streaming on the Rogers TV Grey County website. I mentioned, just looking at his resume, the thing that stands out most to me, and it's not his wins or losses record, it's his longevity in places that he's gone to. So obviously we know he's been a member of the North Bay Battalion since the last 4 seasons. We know that before that, he was just down the highway, just outside of North Bay in Powassan, winning a Northern Ontario title with the Voodoos. So that tells me that is a guy that buys into the fact that you have to be a local community person. You have to put a few years in the community, and it's more than just hockey and more than on-ice results. So based on the fact that we know that's what Owen Sound as a market has to be. If you come here to play hockey, you're more than just a hockey player in the OHL. You're also a member of a city that sends 10% of its population to games on a nightly basis. So it's a big thing. It's not for everybody. If you were to compare that to, say, some of the easier OHL cities like a London or a Kitchener, obviously they don't compare. Unless you're a community guy, then Owen Sound stands out. And you have to get the right people here, and maybe Scott Ray is the right one.
Well, and JC, as you mentioned there, again, the massive difference is just the population, right? Like when you've got teams like the KW teams in Kitchener, you got London down in obviously London, you got all the GTA teams, that's Oshawa. I think the Steelheads now moving to Brampton. You've got Hamilton moving to Brantford, right? They're massive populaces that don't really pull from a big area because of where they are. Owen Sound pulls from a big area. I'm from Wyerton. I know we went to games a lot. Obviously, they pull from Meaford. They pull, I'd say, as far as Flusherton, probably. You can go as north as Tobermory. I wasn't sure I'd make that drive, but Lions Head I probably would. You know, so in fairness to the Attack, they pull from a lot wider range of area. Port Elgin even, where, you know, you're not too far from. So, you know, that's another adage for the Attack as some of the lights come back on. We'll see if the rest of them come back as they're now adding dirt to the mount and to the batter's box to try to dry it up a little bit here. But, you know, I said that in my question I asked to Coach Ray was just, you know, I hope he has a chance to kind of explore the area a little bit, to realize that, you know, as much as Owen Sound is the meat of the fan base, you know, this team is supported by the Grey Buttes community. You know, it's not like London where it's basically you're either inside London and there's no point, right? Like in the GTA, as a guy who lived in North York for 2 years, about a year ago, getting from one side of Toronto to the other can take you 2 hours. So if you're trying to get to a junior hockey game for 7 o'clock and it's 5 o'clock, not a chance.
And you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that it's more of a Grey Bruce team than anything else. And I think the Owen Sound Attack realized that big time last year when, just by nature of a scheduling conflict, they had to have one of their preseason games off-site. They threw it out to any arena around the area. Do you want to host an OHL preseason game? They ended up going to Hanover, home of the Barons, who did very well this year.
Yep.
And they had a great time in Hanover. The fan base there was super excited. The tickets sold out in about 20 seconds. And it sounds like, based on chatting with some of the team officials, that this might be something that they try to do now every year, is have at least one of their preseason games at a neutral site just outside of Owen Sound to give those other fans who, trying to get to the Bayshore on a Saturday night in November, in January, can be a bit of a challenge. There could be 80 centimeters of snow in between you and your destination. So to give that opportunity, especially to the younger fans, and to continue to develop that fan base, just tells you that this organization knows what they're doing.
And not only that, JC, when you mention something like Hanover, that's surrounding Walkerton. That's another whole pool. They have a hockey team there. I believe they're Junior C. I think the Barons are also Junior C, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a hockey community, right? And it's great to see them attempt to include the greater community because, again, it is such a big area and there isn't a lot, right? Other than the Attack, what really do we have here, right? There isn't a whole lot. Obviously, the GMHL with the Knights of Meaford that we do. I know you were obviously the play-by-play the last 2 years. I was previously around with the team. I was around last year. It isn't a whole lot of, I'll say, entertainment dollar. We talk about that a lot in major sport, like London, Kitchener, the GTA teams. They are not the, number one thing you'd argue the Knights are in London, but other than them, really, there's a lot of things trying to take away from their audience. The Attack don't have that, right? Other than the weather, there really isn't anything taking away from the Attack fan base. We talk about Meaford, that 25, 30-minute drive from Meaford in January with all those hills and all the valleys and all that, with the lights now on, looks like we're going to start baseball again, but, just to finish, it's a hard drive to go from Owen Sound to Meaford. So, again, commending the fans that are able to do it week in, week out.
Well, I just believe that we heard in the background the words "play ball" spoken quite enthusiastically. And so with some time for mound repair and some time to fix that fuse, we've got lights again, and we're about to have baseball.
And again, this is a scheduled 7-inning game. We're only in bottom of 3, so this game may be a little bit longer than either of these two teams were maybe expecting coming into this one, with both the two delays now that have totaled probably about 40 to 45 minutes. And again, you got to wonder who will that advantage? Will it be now the bottom of third inning Cubs, or will it be the hitters here for Owen Sound who have had a chance to kind of fix the batter's box and have maybe a little bit better footing, in the square? And vice versa for the pitcher in French. Maybe he'll have a little bit more control with, having an extra 20, 30 minutes of no rain.
Well, when we left off, when the lights went out, it was 1-0 for the Baysox. Currently, we're going to resume this at bat at 2-2 for Paul Van Cedar. Brian Post down at third. That one fouled back into the Baysox dugout. Cody French is on the mound. 4 walks issued in the game by French. 2-2 pitch. Stays alive. DH Waylon Wilson jogs out to grab the loose ball. Cody French has a signal. In at the knees.
And everyone might have thought that was a strike. I think Van Cedar was waiting to hear the ring-up call, but it never came. And Poor Cody French did about 3 hops in the air there, trying to get higher and higher every time.
Full count now for Van Cedar. 2 outs, runner at third. The pitch, hit up the middle. Third baseman coming in, scoops it up, throw to first, is on time.
The tag again, JC just got Van Cedar, who tried to hop out of the way, but just could not get out of the way there. So stays 1-0 after the Bartley steal of home on a wild pitch. And that right now is the only marker that separates these two teams. And we'll see if Mansfield can finally get their offense going, as again, we'll see if this layoff affects Trevor Smith. The last one didn't. We'll see if this one does.
Run, no hit, 1 error, and 1 runner left on with 2 walks issued in that inning.
Do the Baysox have a hit yet? Because if they have one,
Baysox have not officially registered a hit.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they have 1 run with no hits.
The run scored was by Ryan Bartley, who reached in the third on a walk.
Yeah, so that's we're talking about interesting scorelines, JC. 1-0-1 in baseball, so that's an interesting scoreline.
Trevor Smith will head back to the mound. 2 hits allowed for Trevor, 6 strikeouts. Pretty good pitching line for him, and that's with some heavy rain that he's pitched through as well.
And 2 now massive layoffs. Again, the 15-minute delay to begin the game, and now about the 20, 30-minute layoff for the power outage is what I'll also call it, but the light's going out regardless. I think Smith wants a new ball, and looks like we're going to get one. Yes, we are.
To lead off the top of the 4th will be third baseman Alex Attenborough. It's in the warm-up deck right now. Hopefully with these mounds and boxes reset, maybe that spurs the offense for both sides a little more. Give the fans who came out tonight to battle the rain and the conditions a little bit of a show on a Thursday night in Owen Sound. Maybe time for the Harb after, I don't know.
Well, all I gotta say is I'm off tomorrow, so I don't care how long this game goes, JC. I don't think you're as lucky as me, but
no, I am due at the radio station in Wingham at 8:30 tomorrow morning.
Oh, lucky you.
I might leave early. We'll see.
Don't scare me like that, JC. I'm not sure I can hold down the fort all by myself.
I meant from work tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure. I got a little worried there.
Just in case the boss is wondering, hey, it's Friday.
Yeah, my shoes got a little tight there when you said that as Attenborough gets in the box. And again, I mentioned there's not a lot of lefties. I think he may be the only lefty or one of 2 lefties in this game.
By the way, a pro tip, young Padawan. First pitch in for a strike. If you're going to leave early from work on a Friday, wait till your boss leaves early first, then leave after him.
I'll make sure I keep that in mind. I'll make sure I write that one down in the notepad.
Attenborough takes strike 2, swinging strike.
I also will mention Attenborough was the one who didn't swing the entire bat till the full count pitch. That's only his second swing of the night. So, again, Smith just trying to get Attenborough to really swing that bat. Give him some things to look at.
Smith looking for strikeout number 7. High, ball 1.
Again, I will mention, with Smith being just stuck on that rubber, he's basically forcing the batters to be a little faster.
That one shot up. Second baseman gets it over to first. Not in time, though. Drop ball there results in safety for Alex Attenborough.
Yeah, Van Cedar there with a little bit of a low throw post, just couldn't close on it. And once he got his other hand onto it, the batter had already reached bag. So yeah, I think that'll be an error to Van Cedar. But in fairness, he did have to rush that throw because Attenborough came out of that box hot and ready.
Left fielder Dean Caldwell up to bat now. He struck out in the first. Swings at the first pitch right up to the second baseman. Can they get the double? They get the second. That's it for this series of play there.
And again, Van Cedar just having a little bit of trouble there. That ball basically died right as he went to glove it, so he just had to flip it to shortstop Kirk Gibson. So they do get the force out in the fielder's choice, but that still keeps a guy on bag for the Cubs.
Dylan Brown, catcher. Swings at the first pitch, makes contact. Left fielder in motion. And it's
Foul.
fouled.
Just, JC,
Foul.
That ball got crushed.
That was a tough one to see. Everybody look back to the home plate ump on that one.
And Battelle also made the call there at third base to call it foul. Again, you and I kind of lost there between the lights and the fence. I didn't see it after he crushed it, but I think that ball was well gone regardless. It was just deciding if it was inside or outside the foul pole, and they said it went outside of that little monster.
Definitely the best hit ball of the game we've seen thus far. It doesn't result in anything. Smith with the 0-1 pitch. Low for ball one.
And you got to hate that too, JC, to absolutely barrel a ball but just not be able to keep it in play.
Brown at the plate, 1-1. Thrown at it first on the fielder's choice. His last at bat in the top of the second.
Again, Smith really keeping tags, or really keeping attention there to the guys on first.
Smith in, and almost a bunt move there by Brown. I know he wasn't trying to do that, but he gets another strike.
It turned into a swinging bunt. As you mentioned, that ball just kind of dribbled towards the opening right in front of us. Thank goodness not directly. It's kind of more to the side of me, so even if the ball did kind of come hot at us, it hopefully would skip by and maybe hit the truck, which, you know, if it gets a dent, Mark can fix it. Mark can buff it out.
1 out, 1 on, and a 1-0 deficit for the Cubs. Smith in, swinging, strike 3. 7th strikeout of the game for Trevor Smith.
As they do in the Bronx, JC, cha-ching.
I know that Yusei Kikuchi pitched today for the Toronto Blue Jays.
6 full. I think he had 6 Ks.
I took my wife to a game earlier this season where Kikuchi also pitched, and after every strikeout, just the first 2 words of the song by Jewel, Lisa Loeb, you say play. She's like, I don't get it. It's like, well, his name is Yusei. Lisa Loeb, the singer herself, recently responded and said she loves that.
I mean, I think that's a great job by the Blue Jays to, you know, be able to take out that little bit of a song and be able to fit it to honestly, probably been their best pitcher this year.
It has been an interesting time in the bullpen. It's been an interesting time all around the clubhouse in Toronto this year.
Telling you, JC, Trevor Smith has been really checking the guys on first base.
Cameron struck out his last appearance in the top of the second. Pitch is in for a ball. Steal attempt over at second. They're just going to let him go this time around.
And honestly, JC, that's kind of smart because you never want to try to make that steal play and that ball somehow skip by either Kirk Gibson or Van Cedar because that's just a free extra 90 feet that you don't want to give away.
Fouled back by Cameron.
Just missed my car.
Cubs trying to stay alive. Looking for a base hit to tie it here with 2 out. Full count now. Smith trying to get out of this inning, maybe with his 8th strikeout. The pitch, down low, got him. Runner off to first. They will make the play with just a little hop, but that will do it.
Yeah, Slater kind of didn't really throw it. He more kind of just looped it at post, and it didn't have enough on it, so it kind of just one-hopped into post glove, and he was able to step on first base as he basically caught it. So they were able to get the out in the end, but you know, that will be what, the 8th K, as you mentioned, JC, for Trevor Smith, almost at double digits through 4 innings for him. And he's had some pretty good games this year, has Trevor Smith. This may be the most impressive. Definitely so far.
This is it's a tough game to be in, tough conditions to pitch in, but so far his stuff has looked pretty good, and it's definitely had the Cubs guessing at times. We head to the home half of the 4th. Waylon Wilson, the DH, is going to lead it off.
I will mention Cody French is staying out there. Again, in a 7-inning game, it kind of changes your landmarks to when you pull guys, when you decide to go to your bullpen, because of obviously not having to play those extra 2 innings like they do, I'll say, in the majors or in professional ball. I guess I also could just say major league ball regardless, but we'll see how long French of a leash French gets in this bottom of 4.
Waylon Wilson, the DH, steps into the box. Pitches in for a strike. Wilson struck out his last appearance in the bottom of the 2nd. French on the mound has his signal. Delivers. Fouled back. Third baseman has it. And Wilson is retired.
Attenborough with a great catch there. He's tracked it from the moment it left Wilson's bat, and he seemed to have a beat on it the moment he took a run. As the wind is now starting to pick up, so all the rain in our little tent here is getting pushed all directions. But again, that wind will also help because that adds to the guys being able to be technically air dried a little bit. Will be a cold air dry, but still air dried nevertheless.
Jesse Patel takes first pitch in for a strike.
And he won't be happy with that swing. That ball was well outside. He swung on it thinking it was going to stay in, and it just fell off the table for him.
Patel reached on a walk in the 2nd. That pitch high for ball 1.
That ball came inside of Patel, so that was, in the end, a pretty easy layoff for him. St. Mary's alumni. Got to make sure I mention that every time it comes up to bat. He was bit on that one, too. You saw he swung at the first one. The second one almost got him to bite again, but this time he was able to hold off.
So far, 5 walks issued in this game. As Patel takes ball 3.
And again, that French command is, I'll say, inconsistent, because once in a while he'll still have those wild pitches, and I'm not sure I can blame the rain anymore, but I still will mention that again, the wetness is still adding to a factor.
Patel will reach base. The 6th walk issued of the game by Cody French.
And again, the Baysox have no hits. So all their guys that have been on base, including the bases being juiced, were all walks. And that was in the 2nd inning.
Greg Slater up to the plate now. Reached on a walk as well. Back-to-back walks in the 2nd that were issued by French. Patel down at first. French delivers. Swung on off the plate. Strike.
And as the great Trevor Bauer would say, that would be a sword.
French now has a signal, takes a look back to first. Delivers. That one got the bottom corner for a strike.
And Slater wasn't happy with the moment that one got called the strike. He kind of shook his head, took a real step out of the batter's box.
French ahead, 0-2. Looks back to Battelle at first. Again, an aggressive look over the shoulder. That sent Battelle back in a hurry.
And again, he's not even trying to throw that ball. He's just clearing the rubber to make Battelle choose if he's going to stay in no man's land or take his walk back to the bag.
French again looks. Ready. Pitches in, swung on and missed. Strike three, sits down Slater.
And I will mention that might have been a hit and run attempt there because Battelle kind of took a couple strides to second base and then stopped as the off-speed pitch came in and Slater went right after it and just couldn't make contact.
That only the third strikeout of the game for French, who's walked 6 tonight. Zettler, that pitch heads to the backstop, and Battelle heads to second. Another wild pitch.
He kind of hesitated there, JC. I'm surprised he hesitated because I guess he thought that the catcher was going to be able to make a play on it, but the moment that ball hit the fence, I saw Jesse kind of turn on the jets and cruise to second base, and then took a little look at third base, and by the time he got to second, the catcher had it and was ready to go.
Well, 2 out. See if the Baysox can manufacture another run here.
Well, and they could really use their first hit of the game, JC, and it is their 9-hole hitter, Zettler.
Zettler out in the first plate appearance. In the second, hits that one right to the third baseman, over to first in time, and that will end the threat.
And that was an absolute laser from Attenborough. And again, JC, that kind of now pins the question through 4 full innings. 1-0 in favor of the Baysox on the wild pitch. Do you keep French in? Because, yeah, the command hasn't been there at times with the 6 walks, and again, you can contribute some of that to the rain. He isn't allowed to hit yet. So that also, again, adds to, well, maybe you keep him in because if he keeps the ball somewhat in the strike zone, the Baysox have not had success.
Well, that matches, or at least that 4 hitters faced in that 4th inning, the lowest was in the 1st. So you could say that that is some improvement for Carter French, or for Cody French. And as we prepare to head to the top of the 5th inning, Patrick Newbit will lead off for the Cubs.
And I will mention some of the guys over here for the Cubs are warming up, and it looks to be a pitching change maybe coming in for the bottom of the 5th inning. We'll see if that does ring true depending on how this top of 5 goes. But it looks to me like Devin Caldwell, who's already played 2 games this year, is warming up there in the bullpen.
So Newbat will lead off, followed by Carter French. Newbat a walk in his only other appearance in the top of the 2nd. Trevor Smith on the mound, ready to go. Smith has his signal, delivers, got it inside for a strike. Pitch 2, good for a strike as Smith works early in the top of the 5th. Bit of a chill in the air here. Pitch in for a ball. 1-2. There's a swinging strike, and that will sit down Newbat.
That's number 9 on the day, there, JC, and he is now 1 away from double digits. He came into the game with 16 Ks in 12 2/3 innings, and he's almost already past halfway of that, and now he's almost to double digits here.
Carter French at the plate. Next pitch, 1 high and outside for ball 1. Smith now really working quickly. 1-0 pitch in for ball 2. A chill in the air. I just checked the current temperature. It says we're still at 15 degrees on the field, but kind of doubt that as strike 1 is in.
Yeah, the breeze, it may be 15 without the breeze, JC, but that breeze makes it maybe 12 or 11. Again, sometimes the problems of playing this late into the night.
Smith in for a ball. 3-1 the count on Carter French. Smith delivers. Swung on and missed. Full count it goes.
Smith's done a good job in this inning, specifically with getting guys to just miss.
Full count pitch here. We'll see if Smith attacks him. Pitches in. He does. Strikes him out.
And there's number 10. Again, came into the game with 16. Now hitting double digits. That's now 26 on the season. And Trevor Smith is having a season day.
Smith in. Outside for ball 1 against Bryan. Smith looking to strike out the side. Pitch 2. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. There's a pitch swung on right to the first baseman. It's rolling, except it rolls foul.
I will mention there that Cody French never dropped the bat, Jason. Not to interrupt you, but he obviously knew pardon me, that ball was going to try to follow its way foul because he never dropped that bat. He had no intentions of really making an effort there to first base as he kind of handcuffed him there. That ball hit like right off the end of his bat. Zach Colwyn's getting to both of us.
That one in the dirt. Baysox holding that 1-0 lead. Pitch is outside. Smith again. Fouls that one back.
That one,
Not sure where it landed, but it wasn't on us.
I think that ball skipped right into the Keppel Sarawak yard, and some kid's now going to have to jump that fence and go grab that ball. Or it'll be a souvenir. Actually, it can't even be a souvenir tomorrow. It's P Day tomorrow, so it'll be a souvenir for some lucky kid on Monday if nobody can hop that fence.
And a few more baseballs will be needed here, by the looks of things.
Not just because of the wetness, but because of just sheer luck of fouling balls out of play.
A long at bat here for Bryan. Smith delivers. Hit on. Second baseman runs in. Throw to first isn't going to get there.
And JC, that's where the kind of, I guess, your handedness really, matters. Like, Van Cedar is a right-handed thrower, so his glove's on his left hand. That ball was to his right, so he's got to run and be able to catch it across himself to to be able to get that throw, or he's got to slide really fast to be able to get that ball into his breadbasket. So, again, just kind of the luck of the draw. They're having a right-handed thrower at second base, which I'd say the majority are.
Now we come back to the top of the order, and Braden Dorian reached in the first inning, was thrown out by the second baseman in the third inning.
And he stole a base in the first inning, which is why they really wanted to go after him.
Cracks that one back to the pitcher. Smith makes a move, pops out of his glove, and everyone is safe on the field. And actually with that throw, we'll advance the runner to third, and all of a sudden the Cubs have a chance to tie this game.
I thought the call was out, but I guess it was safe. Yeah, I think Owen Sound thought he was out. I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication there, JC, or what, but regardless, now guys on the corners with 2 out, and Trevor Smith's having his first real trouble of the night.
Well, we'll see what Smith does with this next batter facing the number 2 batter, Ben Nicholson, the shortstop. Nicholson struck out twice, though, so that is one advantage for Smith. He struck out twice in this game in the first and third innings. Smith facing Nicholson. Chance for the Cubs to tie the game. First pitch is outside, ball 1.
And Dorian moves to second base, so he's 90 feet closer. So now a ball in play could score not just 1 but 2. So a chance to take the lead here for Mansfield.
Smith now, 1-0 pitch, in for a strike, 1-1. Smith ready, delivers. That one fouled back. 2-1 goes the count. 1-2, I should say.
And I also will mention, JC, that normally your third run through the order is where the OPS goes up a lot. OPS is on base plus slugging. First time through the order is usually low. Second time through the order is a little better. Third time through the order, usually it skyrockets 300 to 400 points, which is a lot of points. So we'll see if that happens here for Mansfield on maybe their third run through the order.
Nicholson at the plate. 1-2 pitch coming. That one outside, ball 2.
And Owen Sound really wanted that. Smith wanted it. Slater held on to it. I guess trying to hope that the longer he held on to it, the more he'd make the umpire think about it.
Smith has his signal. Comes set. Delivers. Low. Third base coming in to score. We will have a tie game here as a result of that wild pitch.
And I will mention, unlike the home opener, Slater's had some trouble here tonight with catching it. Not necessarily blocking it. That's his first wild pitch of the game between Smith and Slater. That will tie the game, by the way, on that wild pitch. So now we have 2 runs, both on wild pitches.
So French scores to tie. Dorian advances to third. Nicholson continues the at-bat, and he strikes out.
And Slater slams the ball in the dirt because he's upset that but the team gave up that 1 run to tie it. 1-1 on the wild pitch and honestly, you can't really blame him, to be honest, because again, that's a situation where, you give up that run, it's now tied, and, the Baysox offense has not been where they wanted it to be tonight, obviously, with no hits so far. And we'll see who comes out to pitch now for the Cubs. As again, the Baysox are just trying to find any way to get some offense here tonight. And it looks to me like French is coming back out to pitch the 6th. And I will mention, JC, if we are tied after 7, it will just be a tie. This is like the old hockey rules. There is no extra innings.
Well, the stat line on the top of the 5th, 1 run scored, no hits, 1 error, and 1 left on base for the Mansfield Cubs. Due up in the bottom of the fifth.
I believe that's Ryan Bartley.
Ryan Bartley back to the top of the order for the Owen Sound Baysox, as they got a little bit of work to do.
And again, the third run through the order is normally where pitchers have their problems. We'll see if the Baysox can do their damage on their third run through the order here against Cody French, who, again, has had some control problems, but when he's put the ball in the strike zone, has not allowed a hit yet. So the Baysox have a lot to prove here in this bottom of 5.
Clock coming up to 10 p.m. And we are ready to go with French on the mound. Pitches in for a ball to Ryan Bartley. The leadoff man. There's a strike, 1-1 the count to Bartley. Bartley flied out to the center fielder in the first, scored a run off a walk in the third.
He just tried to bunt there, JC. I think he got the bat but just behind home plate before the ball crossed because it was well low, so that will come as a ball, but it was mighty close to being a strike as Bartley tried to lay it down.
Well, Bartley show bunt again, 2-1 pitch. No, swung on that one, missed, strike 2.
And he knew right when he swung it, JC, that ball was going to be well into the dirt again because, again, he basically half swung. That ball barely got by his front shoulder before he kind of said, I missed.
2-2 pitch, hit hard by Bartley. Will it drop? Yes, right into the glove of the fielder.
And again, that center fielder took no steps. That ball basically went right to him. So again, some unlucky hits there for the Baysox. They've had 2 now where they made the fielder walk a little bit for it, but a couple times also where they've hit it right to the fielder. And then obviously that foul ball that got caught off of, I believe it was, I want to say it was Waylon Wilson, but I think I may be wrong on that.
Ryan McNeil at the plate, struck out in the first, reached second in the top of the third, bottom of the third.
And again, he leads the team in average. So if anyone's going to start the hit party, you'd think it'd have to be Ryan McNeil.
Pitch is low. McNeil sets in. The wind really picking up here now. Delivers that one high. Two on the count to McNeil. French delivers. That'll be low.
And McNeil, with his 7th walk of the season, will reach, or I guess 8th walk of the season with the one earlier tonight, will be back on bag. But again, continues the 7th walk for Owen Sound here tonight, and still no hits.
The shortstop, Kirk Gibson, comes to the plate now.
And again, a guy who struggled this year, led the league last year in average and on-base percentage, could really use a hit to start the game off and to start turning his season around.
Had a ground out to first in the first inning. Had a 6-3 put out in the bottom of the third. Quick check over to first. Keeps McNeil honest. Again, a check. The pitch. That's outside. Actually inside for a strike on Gibson.
And again, Gibson's gotten behind in every count, which doesn't help. Kirk Gibson has really struggled to get ahead in counts. He's had a first pitch strike in all 3 of his at-bats now.
That's French up 0-2 in this one. The pitch. Chopper back to the mound. Through the legs of French. Second will reach. Throw not happening to first. And just at that moment, the realization made nobody was covering third. So it's a good thing the throw did not come off there.
Yeah, and lucky there because McNeil could have thought about it again, as you mentioned, but that ball went right to basically second base as everybody converged from Mansfield to make sure that ball didn't get through everybody. But as you mentioned, because everybody converged, there was nobody covering third base. Attenborough made a mad dash back to third base once he realized.
Now up is Brian Post.
The rain has kind of picked up a little bit here, back to spitting, not raining as hard, but we'll see again if the conditions start to worsen.
Strike into Post, who struck out in the second, reached on a walk in the third.
Brian Post, who's led this league a couple of times in home runs, led last year, tied with 6.
A 1 pitch in the dirt. That's a ball. Runners will advance. And the Baysox again find themselves in a position here where they can do some damage.
But they got to get a hit. Something they haven't done in 4 and, is it a third innings?
See if a hit's coming now for Post. The 1-1. Swung on, chops it, foul.
Post would love to show off that power stroke here in this at bat, get the first hit of the game and put it over that 270 sign over there in left field.
Van Cedar on deck. 1 away here in the bottom of the 5th. 1-2 on Post. Fouls that one back. And missed there by the third baseman. Must have lost it in the lights.
Yeah, he looked up and he kept kind of moving left, moving right, never really got a beat on it, unlike the first one, Attenborough, who really was able to track that one. The shortstop there for Mansfield just couldn't seem to really get under it. And when you're chasing after it like that, especially in a foul ball, it's kind of easier just kind of let it go because, again, it won't hurt you if it lands foul. It'll just end up being a strike.
So Post stays alive. There's a pitch just outside. Post takes off to third. Was able to do that on the swinging third strike with no one occupying first.
And again, that almost handcuffed Mansfield because of McNeil being on third base. He ended up not being able to really move on it, though. So now Van Cedar will need to put something in play for the first time tonight for the Baysox. We'll mention in the 6 games the Baysox have played, I think they have 28 runs scored, so they're not exactly a high-powered offensive team this year. They've really relied on their pitching, which, again, has been good tonight.
Van Cedar, who walked in the second and hit into a 5-3 putout in the bottom of the third.
That was a great pitch there by French. It was a beautiful curveball, fell off the table, and Van Cedar just held off of it. I don't know how he did. That pitch was almost picture perfect without a swing.
There's another pitch. That one fouled back. Catcher Brown after it. Runs out of room as it lands just next to us.
I heard it thump, and I was scared it was coming for us because I don't know if this tarp's that sturdy to save me from a fly ball. And if I get a concussion, I don't think I get workers' comp.
Indeed, you do not.
I think that's in the budget.
Pitcher heads back to the mound as Van Cedar continues his at-bat. Runners in scoring position here. Game tied at 1. There's the pitch. Van Cedar again takes a hack at it. It's back foul. And again, just outside of the reach of Brown, just about 2 feet on the other side of the fence this time.
It went from one side of us to the other side of us. Okay, guys, now not center, okay? Let's put it the other way. Okay, I really do not need this tarp. I don't want to test the tarp. Okay, guys, no testing the tarp. Okay, I'm not testing this tent. We got some not only expensive equipment, but some expensive talent here that doesn't want to, mess up the hair.
Come on, Paulie, let's go for it.
Brian back to the mound as Van Cedar continues to battle through this at-bat. Pitches in high for a ball.
And again, there is some of the French control that we've talked about a lot during this game with the 7 walks, or actually, is it 8 walks now, with the 2 in this inning. Just the control's been a problem.
It is 8 walks indeed, and
He's almost got another one here.
maybe a 9th coming here. Full count. Runners will be going on contact here.
They may be going regardless, JC, because if it's a drop, they're a strike, they're going to go.
The full count pitch. 1-1 game. Swung on and hit. Drops into center field. 1 run will score. Run number 2 coming around will beat the throw, which is off the mark, and the Baysox go up.
And that ball hit right off the third base coach. I believe that's Don Bartley, as it technically ends up being a single there for Paul Van Cedar, who gets 2. And the first hit of the game is a 2 RBI single for Paul Van Cedar, and it gives the Baysox that 2-run lead. And, you know, we've been waiting for it, JC, all night. They've had lots of base runners with those 8 walks. We've been waiting to see somebody put that ball in play, and that ball just got crushed by Van Cedar to land right in front of the left fielder. And now to mention that DH, Waylon Wilson, who's the only lefty in the lineup for the Baysox, and he'll get a chance to take a couple hacks now. And maybe this will open the floodgates for the Baysox offense.
Strikeout in the 2nd for Wilson. Reached on a walk in the 4th. Baysox are up now. Vitale is on deck if they need him here with 2 out. But a clutch single by Paul Van Cedar. And a heck of an at-bat, too.
And to go down from what, I think it was 2-1, or 1-2, then get to a full count.
Wilson sees that one low. Wilson at the plate. The pitch. That'll be up high. No doubter about that one, as Wilson saw that leave the hand on an awkward angle.
God also got to mention here, JC, in the bottom of 5, how much longer do they keep Cody French in, or do they start thinking about another arm?
The pitch low and gets around. Runner at first will advance to second.
And Van Cedar did a little hop there at second base to think about going for third, but again, by that point, the catcher had possession and thought better of it.
Wilson in way ahead now on this at bat. He's got to be thinking of finding a patch of grass just like Van Cedar found earlier.
Or getting the ninth walk of the night.
That one is high. 3-1. There's a pitch swung and missed. Strike 2 for Wilson as the count goes full.
We'll mention French only had 3 walks coming into this one. He's now got 9, so he's tripled up on his season total just in this game, as there'll now be a little conversation between catcher and pitcher. As now Vitale will come up to bat, who will look to add to this Baysox lead with still 2 ducks on the pond.
Vitale, 2 appearances in the first, or make that the second and the third, second and fourth. Both of those resulted in a walk for Vitale. Look to reach base for the 3rd time. Runners at first and second. Baysox have already got 2 this inning. Up 3-1 here. Jesse Vitale. First pitch outside for ball. A little bit of a lead off there at second for Van Cedar. Checked on by the pitcher. There's a high pitch. Now they think about throwing to first, but that was Wilson at first who came off the bag a bit.
And also, J.C. Van Cedar was also well off second base, but I don't think the second baseman was anywhere near the bag to even attempt to get Van Cedar at second either.
At this point, no reason to not be a little aggressive here for the Baysox as they take generous leads. That one outside. 3-0 goes the count.
And you also got to think, JC, to not try to interrupt you there, is again with the command you've seen of French, you got to think one moment that ball gets a little bit by the catcher, you're going anyway, right? So again, that adds to trying to take that big lead, so you're just that much closer to just nabbing those 90 feet.
Patel, 3-0. Sees that go low, ball 4. He reaches for the third time on a walk tonight, Jesse Patel.
And is that number 10?
That is number 10 for walks, and that will load the bases on walks.
And that brings up the catcher and Slater, who has not been happy, I think, with the strike zone here tonight. Definitely wasn't in his last at bat. We'll see if Slater can be the second Baysox to get the ball in play. And again, Cody French is staying in here. So again, you got to think maybe one more hit or one more walk, and Cody French day might be over.
Let's see what Slater does with the first pitch. Swung for the fences and missed. Strike 1.
And it was tip. I heard a tip. I think the umpire called it a tip, so it is technically a swinging strike in the end. Tip foul caught, I should say.
That one outside for a ball. Good eye on Slater.
And he almost waved at it again, but he checked well early. He kind of waved at it and thought, little low. The umpire agreed.
A walk in the first and a strikeout in the second for Slater. There's the 1-1. Got him.
Basically same thing again, JC. The low pitch. Slater tried to hold up, just couldn't that time. Looked a little too juicy on the second attempt. I guess French thought if you try to swing it the first time, might as well go back to it.
Will it work again? No, a one-hopper there. Hops up to the third baseman. The throw over to first is in time. And that will end the inning as the Baysox get a couple runs.
But a great play by Attenborough stops it at only 2 runs bled.
3 walks, 2 runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 3 left on base for the Owen Sound Baysox.
As Slater's now got to go get his catcher's equipment on, as he was the last out. So I think one of the coaching staff now comes out to catch some warm-up pitches for Trevor Smith, who will come out for the top of the 6th inning. No doubt, I think Smith will stay out here as long as he continues to deal, which he has been basically all game long. He had, one blip, I think, in the previous inning, but even that little blip was not much of one. Just 2 guys left on bag. And you also got to think, JC, with all these walks and, all these extra pitches for Cody French, it gives an extra long rest to Trevor Smith, which will rest the arm as these innings continue. Or have continued, I should say.
To the top of the 6th. To lead it off, the third baseman, Alex Attenborough.
He's made some pretty big plays there at third base. Made the foul catch, I believe, in the 4th inning. He's made a couple really good throws from third base to stop the Baysox from A, getting a hit, but B, getting some runs.
It was definitely the hot corner of action in that last inning. Attenborough strikeout in the first. Hit into a 4-3 out in the 4th. Attenborough heads the batter's box as we get set to get underway at Tom Williams Field. A Thursday night in Owen Sound that saw 2 delays in the game. That's why we're still on. If you're thinking, this might be a little late for a Baysox game. We had a rain delay at the start of the game, and then we had a power outage midway through the game. I'm not sure if it was intentional, if someone tripped over a cord. Either way, it went dark for a bit here, but we're underway now. First pitch is in for a strike.
And what's amazing, JC, is that the lights basically went out as the sun was going down. So by the time the lights came back on, we were almost in complete darkness like we are now. So it almost was perfect timing for those lights to come back on.
Smith deals. The 0-1 pitch fouled up. Seems to be well fouled back here.
That one going towards Gord Chapman's backyard. He may have some souvenirs after tonight with a couple balls that have just gone foul there, that left field pole.
Smith ahead, 0-2.
And Attenborough really likes to take time when he gets into that box, so he always pauses before Trevor Smith because, again, he never leaves that rubber.
That one swung on a miss, strike 3.
That's number 11. So that's number 27 on the year for Trevor Smith. Again, came into the game with only 16 strikeouts. He's already got 11 tonight, so it has been the game of the season for Trevor Smith because he is dealing.
And a change here as Bourget has come into the game. He will replace the left fielder, Dean Caldwell.
I assume that will mean Caldwell will go pitch because Caldwell was warming up in the previous inning.
Swung on for a strike is Bourget.
In poker, you usually tip the dealer, but I don't think Trevor Smith's going to get anything but some handshakes after this performance.
First plate appearance for Bourget. Smith looking for his 12th strikeout. High, ball 1.
He really speeds up those batters, that's Trevor Smith, never really leaving the mount, which, also adds to just how dominant he's been tonight.
Pitch by Smith, tipped back. Bourget stays alive.
JC, I feel a little better having you beside me because when I was with Gord and we were on the other side, every time a pitch would come back, I'd kind of flinch a little bit and Gord would always say, well, the fence is guarding us. Now I've seen a couple balls come back and you've kind of looked at them and I'm like, okay, now I'm not the only one who when a ball gets hit foul, I always go, don't come towards me, please.
That one swung on and fouled up the first baseline as Bourget will keep going in this at-bat against Smith.
I don't need any dentist visits, okay? I want to leave with as many teeth as I came in with,
No, we don't want to do any more damage to that face.
Exactly.
Smith delivers. Swung on and missed, strikeout number 12.
That was a gross slider. That pitch just fell off the kitchen table. That one broke a plate, maybe a bowl. That was nasty from Smith. That's number 12 on the day, 28 on the season.
Well, next up to bat, a guy that's had a busy night behind the plate. Catching for the Cubs is Dylan Brown. A lot of wild pitches, and Brown makes up for it with a well-hit ball. Drops into center right. Around the bases he goes, thinking double. He's going to have it as the throw did not come in on target.
But it beat him by a mile. Is that Bartley in center? I think I just got confirmation from the great Mark Perry that it is Brian Bartley who was in center last time we were here, and that was an absolute rocket to Van Cedar. Van Cedar just couldn't make the play because I think they beat the runner and they had him by about 2 or 3 steps, but just couldn't get there. Now, as you mentioned, Brown is the catcher, so they'll do the 2-out catcher rule. So immediately, as you mentioned, Bourget will come right back in after the last out. Will take second base.
Cameron in now. Has struck out twice. Will he be the unlucky 13th strikeout for Smith here? There's the first pitch is in for a ball.
And again, in a game where they've had allowed, I believe, 10 walks, they're still very much in this game.
Smith delivers. High, ball 2.
And again, this Mansfield team comes in with 1 win, and they're still kind of in line here to get themselves back into this one and try to add a second win to that win column.
Trevor Smith. Outside, ball 3. The count runs to 3-0.
I think only the second time Smith's really struggled to find the strike zone in this game.
That one in for a strike. First strike, 3-1 it goes.
And I think that's an easy strike call there for Cameron. You know, usually when you go up 3-0, that bat stays on the shoulder. You're not swinging at anything because you want to force the pitcher to throw one.
The one thing Smith doesn't have is a walk. He's not going to get one there. Instead, he's going to get a full count.
And what a battle this would be for Trevor Smith to allow 3 pitches to get him 3-0 and then be able to get back into this count and run it full.
Full count to Cameron. The pitch. Outside, ball 4. Smith issues his first base on balls of the game.
And now, as you mentioned, New Bats will get his chance to swing.
The tying run is on. The go-ahead run is at the plate for the Cubs right now. Swung on and missed, strike 1.
Again, it just seems like one blip, JC, and all of a sudden, Trevor Smith's right back, dialed in.
Patrick Newbat is at the plate. The pitch in for strike 2.
And all of a sudden, after throwing 3 straight balls, he's now thrown with that last pitch walk withstanding. He's thrown 4 strikes in 5 pitches.
Just laser focus. Here's the next pitch. That one fouled back. 0-2 the count. And
you mentioned, though, JC, not just laser focus, it's also being able to stay composed and confident, right? Usually when you walk somebody, you kind of, you maybe get a little down on yourself. That hasn't happened for Smith yet. He's kind of gotten behind in quite a few counts even, but he's been able to battle back and then battle back the next batter and get ahead and stay ahead.
That one goes wide. Another pass ball, and the runners will advance now into scoring position. The tying run moves to second with the go-ahead run at the plate.
And you know what's sad, JC, is the advantage still stays with Smith. That's only his first ball of the at-bat. And I believe they still have 2 outs.
1-2. 2 out. Smith. The pitch. Low, ball 2. Extends the at-bat.
But again, Slater just having a little bit of trouble receiving tonight. I'm not exactly sure if it's maybe a glove issue or if it's something else, but for some reason that ball just hasn't really stuck in his bat or stuck in his glove.
Lucky number 13 swinging strikeout as Patrick Newbat will head to the Mansfield dugout, and we will head to the bottom of the 6th.
And again, we only play 7 innings here in the NDBL, so the Baysox right now are in line to not have to pitch the bottom of the 7th. We'll see if they can tack on a couple insurance runs here in this bottom of 6. And I assume I will be correct in Caldwell, coming in to pitch for the Blue Shirts, as he was subbed out of left field. And yeah, I do see Cody French dashing to, I think that is center field, and he is. I also will mention, I think there's 2 28s on the team with the new left fielder Bourget and French.
There are indeed, hence the earlier point of confusion that we had.
Yes, but as you mentioned, yes.
You only get so many numbers from, 1 to 100. Or 1 to 99, I should say.
Well, and not just that, JC. The other thing you gotta mention is, you gotta be able to buy those jerseys, right? You're not buying 1 to 99. You're only buying like 1 to maybe 30, but more likely like 25, right? So, you're kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to numbers, especially at hardball. And obviously in baseball, same thing with hockey. The lower numbers are the more historic numbers, where you usually have a lot of guys retire them, like how Wayne Gretzky wore 99 because Gordie Howe had 9. Same thing kind of in baseball with Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth wearing 3 and 4, where they hit in the lineup.
So we have Carter French pitching now.
Well, pardon me. They have the other French brother pitching, who I will mention. I was kind of confused, JC, when you said that it was Cody French, because he on my sheet only had 3 walks coming into this one, has 13 now with tonight's performance. This French brother has 12 walks coming into tonight. And you've already seen with a couple of those warm-ups, he's probably got some pretty nasty stuff, but when it's low or high, it is well low or well high. So again, the control may be an issue here for this French brother as well.
So Carter French is into pitch. It looks as though I think the two Frenches have
basically just switched.
Swapped.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Cody French has now moved to center, and Carter French has moved to the mound.
All right,
and
I'll just keep calling him French then.
Exactly, yeah. Nothing really changes for us.
Leadoff man for the Baysox is Zettler. That one is low for ball 1.
And as I mentioned again, that is a nasty slider. It's just the problem is, as the umpire calls time, when the off speeds hit the zone or are in the shadow, they're very, very hard to hit. But you got to be able to aim them, and French has struggled with that this season.
French off the plate again, ball 2. Zettler 0 for 2 at the plate. Pitch is off the mark.
I will
Runs to 3-0.
mention JC. Josh Blackwell is right now warming up in the pen for the Baysox, so Josh Blackwell could be coming in for a save opportunity in the top of the 7th.
3-0 pitch is in for a strike. Zettler looking on that one. French delivers, fouls that one straight up. French in motion. They come in contact. You can tell French had Cameron coming at him, so he dropped his shoulder, and they both avoid getting the worst of it on that one.
Thank goodness, by the way, because that looked like it was going to be a heavy collision, but then both guys, I don't even think without the collision either was going to make the play, to be completely honest, because it was pretty far walk. It basically landed directly beside the dugout, so it was a far run for both the first baseman and the catcher. But again, just happy they didn't collide and cause any injury for either.
Full count for Zettler. French has a signal. Sets. Fouled back again by Zettler. Right down the first baseline. Cameron this time has it.
Again, almost lost it there. You saw him kind of have to reset there as he almost lost it. I'll say in the lights, but maybe just in the air, but was able to finally track it, make the play, as now Ryan Bartley will get a chance to step back into the batter's box for, I believe, the 4th time here tonight.
This is indeed the fourth time up for Ryan Bartley. Scored a run in the 3rd.
Yeah, he was the first run of the game off a wild pitch.
Ended up ground out to the second base, or ground out to the center fielder in the 1st and 5th innings. As Bartley takes that one into left field.
Yeah, he skied that one towards the short porch, but it hooked, and hooked foul.
French on the mound, not the same French that started. The brothers have switched. Carter French delivers. Well hit by Bartley right up the gut. Bartley takes off to first. A little trouble with it there for the fielder, as Bartley now is thinking 2, and he will get there in stand-up fashion.
That ball skips into second base. Again, Bartley almost thought about going for 3rd, but then he realized the ball was coming right at him, so he thought he'd take a couple steps back to second base, as now the guy who leads the team in average in McNeil will take a chance to tax on some insurance runs. Much needed insurance runs, by the way.
Well, after not seeing a hit for the longest time, each team now has an extra base hit in this inning. We'll see if the Baysox can cash anything as a result. McNeil struck out in the 1st, reached 2nd in the third and scored a run on a walk in the fifth. There's the pitch. Over the plate. That's a strike.
As you mentioned there, I believe that's Bartley's first hit of the game, and I believe one of the second hit of the game for the Baysox.
That is correct. Bartley goes. McNeil hits it right to second, drops it, and it's going to be a single as Bartley will trot into home. Baysox will increase their lead 4-1, and a beautifully hit ball by Ryan McNeil.
I almost thought the second base was going to catch that one, JC, which was going to be a double play because Bartley was in no position to get back to second base. And obviously, if that's a catch, he's got to tag back up. So I got my blood pressure spiked there as the second baseman dove and the ball just cuffed him, landed right in front of his glove and bounced into technically right center field. And it cashes in Bartley, who, as you mentioned, just trotted once he realized where the ball was into the grass. As now a guy who really used a hit, Gibson's in at bat.
Gibson takes that one low, ball one.
And I will mention, for the fourth at bat of Gibson's night, that's the first time he's been ahead in a count. He's really struggled to get ahead in counts. He's seen a couple strikes early in counts that have really forced him to expand his strike zone, which really isn't his game, as we saw last year.
1-0 pitch. Gibson watches that one go for a strike. Carter French on the mound. His first inning at work. Takes a throw over to first.
And
Keeps
McNeil,
Ryan McNeil honest.
I'm not sure if McNeil was that far off the bag because he was basically on top of the bag by the moment he cleared the rubber. There was Carter French.
French again takes a look at McNeil. Delivers in the dirt.
Great block. That's a fantastic block by Brown. Because, again, we've talked about all the wild pitches we've seen from both sides here tonight, but that's a great block. I mean, something that gets catchers paid now in the major leagues is blocking, and that was fantastic. That was picture perfect.
I feel as though Browns had the bigger share of the work behind the plate tonight with those passed balls and wild pitches.
And again, it's not his fault.
French delivers that one. Well hit by Gibson. The center fielder in motion. Doesn't have to go far. Kirk Gibson is retired.
And Gibson's going to feel hard done by because he hit that ball really well. It just kind of, again, hit dead center field right to Cody French. And Cody didn't have to run too far to be able to make that catch. But, you know, you'd say the meat of the order, even with a struggling Kirk Gibson, as now the former home run leader last year, who was tied for it with 6, and in post will get a chance to try to add some insurance.
2 out, 1 on. Baysox have added another run this inning. There's the pitch to post. That's high outside, ball 1.
I will continue to say that Blackwell is still warming up for the Baysox, so you got to think that Trevor Smith's night is done, which will end with, I believe, 11 Ks. And only 1 earned. Actually, technically, would it be earned off the wild pitch?
That's a question for someone much higher up the payroll than me. That one fouled back by Post.
Actually, I don't think it's technically earned if it's a wild pitch. I'd have to recheck the rule book, but I'm like 60-40 right now that technically doesn't count as an earned run, but it's still going to be around on the website. So
I thought we were calling lacrosse.
fair point. Well, even if we were at the base shore, I mean, it still would be our decision on how we score it.
Just keeping you and the viewers on their toes. That pitch is in.
That's the best part of doing graphics for lacrosse, JC, is I get to basically choose what counts and what doesn't, who gets goals on the broadcast. Because sometimes I'll hear the in-house PA, and I'll go, that wasn't who scored that goal. I just saw the replay.
Carter French outside. Another ball to post.
And again, the control has been an issue for both French brothers, and Carter had 12 walks coming into tonight with his appearance here in the bottom of the 6th.
French checks the runner. The pitch. That's going to be high. A walk for Post.
as the guy who scored all the runs gets a chance to come back into the box.
Post reaches base for the second time tonight. That'll bring up Paul Van Cedar. Reached third in the previous inning. Also a walk in the second as Van Cedar sees that ball high and outside. French has a signal, has company at second and first, delivers. Tipped back there by Van Cedar.
And happy to see, JC, that the rain's kind of subsided for us here in the latter stages of this game. So we've been able to see what's now gone into basically a dry game.
There's a shot up the middle. That's going to get through the infield to the outfield. One run coming around. Baysox will increase their lead 5-1 on the RBI single from Paul Van Cedar.
And that's his, third RBI of the game off of the 2 RBI single he hit in the previous inning. And again, these are much-needed insurance runs because they're going to see what Blackwell can do in his relief appearance. But again, Smith has been dealing tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how the Cubs react if Blackwell is brought in. I assume he will be, as he's now sat down from warming up. So we'll see what the Baysox decide to do going into the top of the 7th. But again, we still got to finish this bottom half with the DH now up to bat for the Baysox.
Wilson, a strikeout. Thrown out in the 4th and reached on balls in the 5th. That pitch in for a ball.
Little high as Wilson kind of waved at it. You saw him kind of take a little jump towards it and decided better of it.
Pitch tipped back by Wilson. 1-1.
Thank goodness the fence is there because I think I was going right for my car.
Baysox padding their lead here. That one tipped again by Wilson. 1-2.
I will mention that Brian Post was going towards third base, so if there's another pass ball, you would expect that both runners are going to try to steal that extra 90 feet.
Wilson at the plate. Carter French on the mound. The pitch. Low. There goes Post to third. Did they get him? No. Safe at third.
I didn't think they got him, and again, I mentioned it. I was going to say I thought Post would steal, but I honestly wasn't 100% sure he would try. I thought it was going to be any kind of pass ball. He was going to take a run at it, but you kind of saw there on that last foul back by Wilson that Post was thinking about third base, and he was able to get it because you can tell Van Cedar didn't move from first base, so that was not intended to be a double steal. It was just Post thought he had a chance to take it, and he did.
2-2 to count to Wilson. French comes set. The pitch. Swung on and hit right to the second baseman. Make that the shortstop. He'll go over to first to retire Wilson and end the inning.
Two insurance run tacked on, JC, to make it 5-1 going into the top of the 7th. Again, the Baysox in line to not have to hit the bottom of the 7th here against the, I believe, 1-6 Cubs. But again, the Cubs have had some success. We'll see if it is Blackwell, as I expect it will be for the orange shirts, or if they do stick with Smith for now. And it looks like Smith's coming out for the top of the 7th, which doesn't surprise me. Again, it's been great tonight, but I did see Blackwell warming up, so you got to wonder how much of a leash will Trevor Smith have in this 7th and final inning of this North Dufferin Baseball League game.
Well, when you've got 13 strikeouts going for you. I think you kind of have the opportunity to finish the job, even if it maybe gets a little bit ugly.
And again, he hasn't thrown that many pitches. Obviously, as he's gone on, he's thrown more and more pitches for every inning, but he still has not thrown that many, apropos of his two French contemporaries, and I don't mean of ethnicity, I mean of last name.
Speaking of one of those Frenches, Carter, the pitcher of record, or the pitcher at least that's just come off the mound for the Cubs. He will lead off here, batting in the number 8 position.
I will also mention, JC, something we didn't talk about between those two French brothers is Cody's a right-handed pitcher and a right-handed hitter. Carter French is a left-handed pitcher and a lefty bat. So as much as they are related, they do happen to be the opposites. So it also kind of adds to a wrinkle. Obviously, again, the control was a problem for both here tonight, but you know it is definitely a good thing to have a lefty and a righty.
Here we go, 3 outs away from a Cubs victory, and it starts with a first pitch strike to begin the top of the 7th.
And as I mentioned that, again, you mentioned it's Carter French at bat, but then on deck is Cody French, playing center field now.
That one fouled back. 0-2 goes the count for French.
And the poor bathroom just got hit. Thank goodness I didn't hit the poor extension cord that the lights are connected to.
Smith in to finish the game for the Baysox. He's pitched to Jem. That pitch in, swinging strike. They'll pick it up. The throw down to first, no problem.
That was a lot better throw from Slater. You saw earlier on the last swinging strikeout where he dropped the ball. He kind of just popped it towards post, and it bounced one hop to him, basically. That one was basically a laser right to post glove, and it ends up being a pretty easy strikeout there for Trevor Smith. That's number 14 on the night as the 9-hole hitter's in.
Pitch is in, and that one fouled back. Heard that one tip off the top of the backstop here.
Again, JC, I was just taking a little look to make sure that this poor tent's not getting tested, because I'm not sure I want to have my faith in this poor tent to keep me safe from a hurling ball. That meteor's coming towards me. I want to at least know it's coming towards me.
Cody French facing an 0-1. Smith delivers. Went off the... Looked like it went off the arm. It did. They are going to rule this a hit by pitch. You could just hear the ball change direction, and I think initially umpire was confused if it went off the catcher or the batter, but they're going to rule it went off the batter here, and that is a hit by pitch.
And I'm not sure we have a good replay of that. I'll say we don't have a monitor because I had to bring my monitor from home, and when it started raining, I hid it under the table, so I can't get a chance to look at that replay. But again, JC, you're right. It was really close to hitting that elbow / the bottom of the bat, and I think the umpire kind of looked at the batter like an honesty rule here, like did it hit you or did it hit the bat? And he said hit me, so he got first base.
1 out, 1 on here as the Cubs maybe think comeback. That pitch outside.
But a good block there by Slater, not let the Cody version of French make a chance at second base.
Leadoff man Braden Dorian is up. It's 4th time. Checks the run over at first.
Smith's done that a lot tonight, liked checking the guys at first base, which he's had some success with here tonight. Not recording it out, but keeping the guys honest for sure.
There's the 1-0 pitch. That one thrown back to second, and that, I would say, is off the mark. And Trevor Smith right now is very happy that was a lot lower than it might have been, because he might have had a very tough Friday.
Yeah, that one basically went right at the cup area. Smith was able to kind of hop it, but he did, I think, hit it as it hopped it, because that ball died basically before it got out of the infield grass. So Van Cedar had to charge it and get a hold of it. And actually, I will mention, I think there's been a defensive substitution there for the Baysox. Van Cedar's not in right now at second base, and I'm running to check my stat sheet. It looks like Kevin Zettler's now at second base.
Well, the catcher Slater may be owing a few pops to Smith after the game for that little mistake. At bat continues though for Dorion. There's the pitches in, swung and missed. That one dead ball. Two and two the count.
We saw Nate Kramer last time we were here with the Baysox, I think, go 6 full innings. Smith's gone now 6 1/3 innings. And has been arguably more, well, I won't say arguably, but has been more dominant than his counterpart.
That ball hit to third, over to first in time as they pluck it out of the dirt.
But now that does leave 2 outs for the Cubs as they need a rally, and you could argue a miracle to be able to get this game to a tie or maybe even a win.
They advance French over to third as Ben Nicholson comes to the plate, has struck out 3 times tonight in all 3 plate appearances.
And again, all those plate appearances were against Trevor Smith.
Smith, maybe one more time, make it 4 for Nicholson. Slater, whoops.
Yeah, Slater, I think, went to
thought,
throw it.
maybe we'll get a fresh ball.
Yeah, I think Slater went to throw it, and then the ball kind of slipped on him, so he kind of just ate the throw, if you will, of the pitcher and said, you know what, they're blue, I'd like a new one.
Nicholson back in.
Good job by both catchers, by the way, to be checking these balls.
That one is fouled just over a very expensive-looking windshield.
Yeah, and a sigh of relief there, I think, for the Cubs. I think that's all their rides behind their dugout, and I'm not sure they were ever going to be particularly happy. I wonder if there's a policy for the guys, if somebody hits a windshield, that they got to cover it.
Well, they got Apple Auto Glass arms on their jerseys there, so I think that's their team sponsor. They'll be fine. There's a pitches in and low for a ball.
That's kind of a really funny sponsor. That'd be the first people I'm calling if I was going to start a ball club, would be some sort of auto repair.
Trevor Smith deals just low for a ball. 3-1 the count.
And again, JC, you got to think that, you know, if this inning starts to get away from Trevor Smith, that Blackwell will come in. He was warming up in the previous inning.
Yeah, you have to think the runway might be shortening as that's in for a strike and now a full count. And this could be it.
And again, could be the 4th K of the night for Nicholson, who could really use to get a ball in play to score that second run on third base.
Swung on, fouled it out, and that one narrowly avoiding another vehicle.
Another sigh of relief there, I assume, for the guys in the dugout. We don't need more car alarms there, JC. We already have one going off tonight. Wasn't because a ball hit it, just happened to hit the panic button. As if Smith can get Nicholson for the 4th time, it'll be, I believe, his 14th strikeout of the day.
I believe you are right about that stat.
Which would mean he has 30 on the season. Right now at 29 as he had 16 coming in.
Not bad for a game that we were worried might have been rained out at the start of this. Here's the pitch. A walk it is as the ball bounces off the end of the glove of Slater. And Smith will have to work again.
And you got to wonder here, JC, and it's something we talk about a lot, I'd say, in the major leagues, is framing when the catcher catches the ball. If the pitch is down the middle and the catcher receives it wrong, the umpire will normally call it a ball. So reception is also, you know, important when it comes to ball and strike calls.
That was just the 2nd walk of the game issued by Smith on the bunt attempt by Attenborough. Nicholson trots over to 2nd, so now runners at 2nd and 3rd all of a sudden.
I'm surprised the bunting attempt was even out there, JC, because they got 2 outs. I guess you're trying to force Slater to make an error, I guess.
There's a low pitch in. Attenborough takes ball 2.
And again, the tires might just be now starting to come off of Smith, again, who's now pitched 6 2/3 innings. He just needs one more out to get out of this one, but, you know, only have a 4-run lead. And I say only, but they've got, you know, 3 runs in play here.
That one tipped back. Strike 1 on Attenborough. Attenborough's 2 strikeouts today. Also hit one to second, ground out in the top of the 4th.
Ben's just trying to push Smith onto this last out.
The pitch, low. Attenborough sees ball 3. 3-1 is the count. As maybe now it's time to start thinking about having that other pitcher ready to go.
Yeah, I think I saw the coaching staff over there for the Baysox kind of looking at the dugout, so I think you may be right here, JC. If Attenborough reaches, it might be Smith's end.
Smith over the plate, ball 4.
And Smith can't believe he didn't get that strike call. So
That
now
one-
bases are juiced.
That one appeared to be framed a little bit better than the last one.
And that might be Trevor Smith's night, and I think he is infuriated not only that he's not going to get the complete game, but that the last strike or the last pitch wasn't called the strike. As Trevor Smith looks like his day will end with 6 2/3 innings, 13 strikeouts, I believe, if my math's correctly. I think 2 hits, 2 walks with a run.
Now we find ourselves in an awkward position where all of a sudden the Mansfield Cubs have the tying run at the plate, and a swing of the bat
And
could mean that the Baysox will need to bat in the bottom of the 7th.
That it will be. And it is Bourget, the newcomer, only his second at bat of the game, as he came in for the left fielder Caldwell. But I will mention this, JC. It was just on Barley coming to talk to Trevor Smith. Bases are juiced, as we've mentioned, 2 out, and Smith's going to stay.
He's going to stay. He struck out Bourget the last time he faced him in the last inning. There's a lot on the line here for Smith.
And the Baysox.
That one is over the plate, off the mark, ball 1.
And Smith again just couldn't believe they didn't give that one.
Smith now has responded anytime he's faced adversity. Here's the pitch. Got him to swing for it, strike 1.
And again, you got to think this is now some aggravated pitches here for Smith, because he's wanted a couple of these most recent ball calls to be, he could be going the other way.
No, he would have just told his manager, I'm not coming out. And now he's got to prove that this is the right decision. There's the pitch, 1-1 off the plate, 2-1.
You can see, was it Max Scherzer who famously did that with the Tigers? I think it was Osmus came out and he just kind of yelled at him like, go back to the dugout. And maybe he went back to the dugout.
2-1 pitch. Smith tips it back. Dead ball. 2-2. Smith again. 1 strike away. And finish the complete game.
Maybe complete with
Potentially looking
14K.
at strike number 14.
Wish we had the K board. I think we run out of Ks by this point.
And Trevor Smith ended. The pitch. Strikes him out! Strikeout number 14 for Smith, who finishes the game with the bases loaded, and the Baysox win it on a rainy night in Owen Sound.
I mean, it ends the way the game started there, JC. After a single in the first inning, he had 3 straight Ks for Trevor Smith, and that was only the beginning of 14 we've seen, including the rain delay to begin the game, including when the lights went out, I think going into the bottom of the 3rd inning. So, a lot of delays. This game ends basically at 11 p.m. here tonight in Owen Sound at Tom Williams Field, and it ends up being a big Baysox win, their 5th of the season, and a game that had lots of hills and valleys. The Baysox were able to finally get themselves on the board and pull away late.
Well, Trevor Smith at the end of that game obviously now has a little bit of clout in his back pocket the next time the manager comes out. Smith says if he's got it, I guess the manager will have to listen to him next time, because he was right about this one. The Baysox get ready for a busy next few days. They'll be off on Friday, doubleheader here at Tom Williams Field on Saturday. Aurelia is in town. And then on Sunday, another game at 2 o'clock coming up against Bolton, one of the better teams in the North Dufferin Baseball League this season.
Yeah, and again, you got to think, JC, a performance like this, obviously you're very happy with some of the defensive play. You're overjoyed with the way Trevor Smith played, but You got to find a way to get the offense rolling. They only had, I believe, in the end, 2 hits on the day. Lots of walks is the reason why they were able to get the runs they did. It's obviously a massive positive to get a win with all of the, obviously, the delays and all of the things that, were not optimal for either side. But you got to think, especially with some more home games coming up for the Baysox, they can find some consistency in the box, or it's going to be some really tough games, especially there against Bolton.
Well, they get the win 5-1 under the lights tonight in Owen Sound. Spencer, a big thank you to you. My name is J.C. Coots. Also, thank you to our producer, Mark Perry, and all the volunteers who were out here tonight to make this broadcast possible. Thank you to you at home for watching. This has been Owen Sound Baysox Baseball on Rogers TV.
Due to the length of the preceding program, we now join the regularly scheduled program already in progress.
2 staffs into one place and be more efficient and keep the doors open for a little bit more. So yeah, it's a trial. It's the first year we've tried it, and we'll see how it works.
Sure. Well, it'll be interesting to see because it kind of turns the old CN station into a genuine museum, into a full museum, and they will have more space to do things that they may want to do.
Yes, yeah, and that's the advantage, because I'm sure they've got lots of things that aren't on display that could be.
Yes, that's what I have heard. The other thing I've heard, there'll be community events there as well.
Good.
Yeah, but you're not going to hold a city council meeting there.
No. Well, it's simply because of now that we're videoing everything, even our committee meetings are happening in council chambers, so they can be videoed, and there's always a record of it. I preferred the committee meetings when they're in a smaller boardroom and you could have more of a free discussion. It doesn't work the same way in the big council chambers, but it's for electronic gathering and always being able to watch any council meeting, any committee meeting, any segment of it. You can find it on the website and go back and review it. So that's where we'll keep our council meetings.
That is very true. It's a little easier to broadcast, and it is a little more formal with that semicircular position. I just out of curiosity, I keep an eye on whenever I see news items on other municipal councils. I always take note of the way that their city council chamber is structured, and some are actually full circles, and that's another different model. But we've got almost not a full circle, but kind of a half circle.
Yeah, it is interesting because it's a round room done in the 60s. Me sitting in the middle, I'm right in the middle of the cone sort of, and it's funny, you get noise off the back that reflects onto me. If there's noise in the hallway, I can't hear other councillors down the table. Now, maybe it's something to do with my age. I hope my wife isn't watching this. It keeps telling me I need hearing aids, but sometimes just selective. But anyway, at a council meeting, it's just the way it echoes. Sometimes I don't hear things.
Well, in fact, there are certain buildings in the city that do have that quality. One of our churches I was in, and I was standing down on the main floor, and I could hear people whispering in the balcony. It was a perfect whispering gallery. So I'm sure there are other churches or other buildings or other rooms that are like that as well.
You ever go to Science North in Sudbury? Standing outside, there's a place you can stand that you can't hear each other directly, but it echoes off the wall and comes back. And of course, if you've ever toured the Congress building in Washington, there is a room that is set up that if you're on either side, that they could hear the secrets of people having a private conversation on the other side of the room. And it was planned that way, which is fascinating. I don't know how I'm just going to talk about how well they communicate in Washington now, but we'll leave that aside.
Yeah, that's a whole other pay grade for you and for me. Although I have to say, anyone who's following politics does follow it with a certain morbid fascination.
Yeah, yes.
But enough said. We just won't go there.
Yeah.
But I did want to come back to one question. Oh, sorry. There's one more thing I wanted to ask you about, and that's Downtown River Precinct Phase 2. Is that underway?
Oh, wasn't that funny? Yeah, I was expecting you to go to that after Alpha Street. And you went right to Ninth Avenue. I thought,
I did.
back to that. Yeah,
My bad.
there's big piles of earth along First Avenue between 9th Street and 10th Street. It's being worked on as we talk about it. I haven't walked down. I just looked at it at the end of the street as I run from my office over to the bank corner and back. But yeah, they're well underway, and it's proceeding quite well as well.
I did notice that there was someone who tried to turn down First Ave West, First Ave East, right by the Sydenham building, and oops, can't go there. And they were trying to back up onto 9th Street East, and
Oh,
it was a bit of a mess.
well, that was always one way to try and get all the way through anyway. And it's only if
Yeah,
you're getting to the parking lot to Sydenham that it's two ways to that point. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
that part's still open just for the residents there, but thereafter it's blocked off.
Yeah, hey, I won't say it's construction season in Owen Sound.
Yeah, and it's not bad this year. It's not like we've got a bridge out.
Very true, very true. And I did notice that a water main project over not far from our Rogers studio, by the hydrogen optimized plant, is also done, finished, paved. Everything's all tidied up. So that's another good one to see.
Yeah, lots of little work here and there and all over the place. And then there'll be some paving and some sidewalk repairs and things like that coming later in the summer.
Sure. And I see that things like street painting, street line painting is already started.
Yes, yeah, they've been out at night with that.
Yeah. So if you see people with flashing lights running around your street, don't sweat. It's just the street line, the street markings. I recall speaking to one of the contractors, and I said, why do you do this every year? He said, it's the paint,
Yeah.
and I gather that instead of using oil-based paint, it's a water-based paint, and it only lasts one season.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while, and I don't know what the
Yeah.
paint is, but it does wear out in the winter with the salt, with snow, with plows and all that stuff, and you want to put it down so everybody's safe.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So, I was also going to come back to the county because counties had a quite a focus on not Owen Sound issues, but Owen Sound issues. I'm thinking of the issues around hospitals and hospital closures. I gather that took up a fair amount of time at the last county council meeting.
Yeah, we did have a discussion. I think we went into a closed session and with regard to legal opinion provided on that. That's I think happening all over. Well, it's happening all over the world, probably all over Canada, all over Ontario. Um, during COVID, those who were maybe 61 and planned to retire at 65 failed at 61 or 62 or 63. So you had, instead of an age, people aging out, retiring over 3 or 4 years, they all went at once, which caused, bit of a gap in for nursing and doctors, and it's mostly nursing, I think, trying to get coverage for hospitals and et cetera. Yeah, the other side, so that's the negative side that we've been talking about down in Durham or West Grey with them losing some services. This week we will have the opening of the treatment center, which is in the old Bayview School, which we're really excited about for treating mental health and addictions. And we all know that we need it badly. It shows this time of the year that there seems to be more people on the street, more people in parks in the area, and it's great having a facility that helps treat those people and helps get them off. And it's long-term treatment. It's not just get them in, get them out. Michael Tobolo is the now minister of, I think, mental health. And at the time that he announced it, was an acting minister under the Minister of Health. And it was on video when he announced it, or on a Zoom meeting. And I had the opportunity to talk to him at AMO, and he just gushed with excitement about this being a European model that works very well over there, that he really wants the government to bring out all over Ontario. And we're really the first one. And how they chose Owen Sound, I didn't ask him, but he was really excited about this project and really strongly believes it'll work. He was an advocate for homeless and for mental health and for addictions before he went into government. And so, looking forward to him coming up and cutting the ribbon. And I hear there's others coming as well. I don't know if it's announced or not, but it's great to get the facility open.
Yes, this is one we've been waiting for quite a while. And I know I've spoken to Rick Byers. He's been vague, and that's fine. He's a provincial politician, but yes, the Bright Shores Wellness Center is going to be a game changer, I'm told, in terms of treatment, and it's unique to Canada. I've always said that we do things differently here in Grey Bruce sometimes, often, and this is probably a good example. We're often out on the cutting edge. And I was talking to one of our healthcare people, and they were saying they go to conferences and people just say, "Huh? You're doing that? How are you doing that?" So it's a real feather in our cap, and certainly the Bright Shores is to be commended for this.
Yes, it is a Bright Shores project. I was just going to say that to make sure that's understood, and they will operate as a health facility. Some of us that are old enough will remember the old McKinnon Phillips Hospital, which was next to the current hospital, that there was a government change that they thought people could do better in the streets than being in then mental health treatment facilities. And we seem to be coming a full circle back to providing help for people in need.
Indeed. So, but hey, we will next when we can talk to you in the fall. I'm quite sure that there will be a lot more to talk about, including the Bright Shores, including the who knows what. It's an exciting time to be in, dare I say it, politics.
That's one way of putting it, yeah. But we'll always find something to talk about. I'm pretty sure there's always seems to be something happening, and as we make decisions, they're past us, and then we move on to the next one, and there's always something coming.
And with that, Ian, I've got to say thank you for being with us today on Politically Speaking. Our time is just about up, so always good to talk to you, and always good to hear what's going on. And have a good summer. To you, friends, we will talk again. I'm David Shearman, and this is Politically Speaking.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Tune in next week. We'll learn more about events and activities this summer for the kids.
Also, Renee will be here from the Owen Sound Animal Shelter with an animal looking for a forever home on Great County Life.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.